It's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran show for a Thursday afternoon. It is high noon, and we are here. Jimmy Ryan is with me. Hi, I'm Pugs. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing okay. Let's get three things started here very quickly. I've got a very important alert that needs to go out right now.
Okay.
I don't know what the chances are of this affecting anybody, but at Marsh, just north of Northwest Highway, on the west side of the street, there is a Dallas police officer clocking cars. He's a motorcycle officer, and he's on somebody's lawn underneath their tree. You can't even see him.
Wow.
You can't. Now, I want to know, I had half a mind to knock on those people's door and say, are you aware that there is a cop on your property, that his motorcycle is up on the side? The motorcycle was up on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But he was like leaning on the tree with his little gun hitting people. This is not law enforcement. This is fine gathering. That's all that is. That's not law enforcement.
Which is what I see, most of the police doing 99% of the time, is not doing anything that keeps me feeling safe, but keeps me constantly nervous that I'm about to have to spend more money on tickets or something stupid.
And then I would also like to point out, also on Marsh Lane, there is another police officer, this one not a motorcycle guy, Marsh and Royal. He is sitting in his car in one of the streets right there. He is also clocking people, although he is on the east side of the street.
Well, thank
God. They're getting him coming and going through that little Marsh Northwest Highway to Royal Lane, what do they call that, corridor.
Have you seen these commercials that they're starting to run, the state of Texas, where they say, you know that time that you see the police officer and buckle up? We see you doing that.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Good for you. Yeah, I've seen the campaign where they try and inform people that you can't fake it because our cops are trained.
Why? Why is that even a law? If you don't want to wear your seatbelt, good for you. And then on top of that, they're actually going to spend our money telling us
Jimmy
that we
Ryan,
can't wear our seatbelt.
Jimmy Ryan, I've never actually thought about that. I've always taken the seatbelt law for granted because in my state where I was from, the seatbelt law was enacted at exactly the same time as I got my driver's license.
Right.
So there was never a time. So when I was in driver's ed class, seatbelts were mandatory, all of that. But I do remember driving my entire life, the 16 years prior to that, in cars where nobody wore seatbelts. Nobody wore seatbelts. Everybody smoked. The windows were always rolled up. The kids were in the back seat sucking in nicotine just like the adults in the front seat, and they were speeding crazy. Yeah. And in many cases, they had a cocktail in their hand. And people were nuts in the 70s and 80s.
I found the craziest irony when I was still in grade school because I would look across the street or, on the street as I'm on the bus, and I would see people as they're putting on their seatbelts in front of a cop. Yeah. And then I'd look around, no seatbelt for me to wear. I'm on a bus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't put kids on buses in seatbelts.
No.
And let me tell you, if a bus gets into an accident and that thing rolls over, it's a lot worse than being in a car.
Yeah.
You're being thrown around. I mean, you're like a popping kernel in a bag. You're just being thrown around, popped around.
I mean, how about the government not
Isn't
spend
that
ads?
shit? Really, how about that? Why aren't there, if they're going to make everybody wear seatbelts, why aren't there seatbelts on school buses?
Yeah, I mean, how about you not spend the money on ads telling us to wear seatbelts and use that for the seatbelts on the school buses that you didn't put in?
Oh, Jimmy, I'm sure that there's a big school bus lobby, and they didn't want the extra cost of having to upgrade all of their buses.
It's unbelievable just how...
some of these buses were made recently.
Yeah.
Well, why are these buses still being made without seatbelts?
I've never understood it.
It's
ours was supposed to be like the most modern of the modern when we first got it because this one actually had like one central air conditioning duct. Ooh. Yeah, and but again, no seatbelts, and we were bumping around, jumping around, like jumping over the seats.
Have you ever just watched a school bus? Just pull up next to a school bus next time you're rolling down the road. Mm-hmm. Take a gander inside there. Although, watch the road. We don't want any accidents. Yeah. Take a gander inside that school bus and just look at the mayhem that is going on in there.
It's the exact definition of chaos.
It's like it's like you are now free to move about the cabin. It's like everybody in the school, they're walking around, they're serving cocktails, kids are climbing over seats. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I've never actually thought about the seatbelt law. I really don't know anything about it because, as I said, it came into existence for me in the state that I lived in. I don't know when it became a law in Texas. Was it a national law? Did they all do it at the same time? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
At any rate, it was about 1987 or so when it came into effect in Illinois. And I never really thought about it. I just took it for granted. I mean, what is the purpose for the seatbelt law? Now, because I do understand, I see it from this perspective. You can't tell me what to do. I'm in my car. You can't tell me what to do. I don't want to wear a seatbelt.
Right.
Just like I don't believe in helmet laws. If I want to race my motorcycle down the road and not wear a helmet, that's a risk that I'm willing to take. Maybe it's part of the thrill. Maybe it's part of the enjoyment that I get from riding a motorcycle because it's a little dangerous. That's just who I am. I'm a thrill seeker. Why are you mandating that I can't have that enjoyment?
Yeah, I often, when I get cut off by a motorcyclist who's driving about 140 down the street, I often think whoever it is I should be thanking that he's not wearing a helmet because that may not happen in the future again. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, it's also thinning of the herd.
Exactly.
You don't want to wear your helmet if you want to. First of all, if I rode a motorcycle, I'd wear a helmet everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a risk that I want to take.
I have a feeling you wouldn't be the guy who cuts everybody off.
I've seen Gary Busey lately.
Yeah.
You seen that guy? That's what happens when you don't wear your helmet and you take a tumble on Hollywood Boulevard.
Right.
You end up like Gary Busey.
Yeah.
That guy hasn't been right since. He hasn't. You probably don't even remember a non-significant head injury, Gary Busey. You probably just always remember Busey as the head injury.
Was
Gary
he
Busey.
Normal?
Semi-normal. Yeah, he was more normal than he is now. Yeah. And he had a horrific. I mean, he almost died. Terrible head injury.
Wow.
Yeah.
It would almost be more creepy to see the normal Gary Busey now.
You can see him. I would say rent the Buddy Holly story.
Yeah.
The movie that he was nominated for an Oscar for. He was excellent in that. He was
a serious actor?
Oh yeah. Gary. So you don't even know the history of Gary Busey. First of all,
I just know him as crazy Gary Busey.
I am shocked that you even know who Gary Busey is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Gary Busey, when he burst onto the scene in about 1978, 79, somewhere in there, he was cast as Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly story, which was a major theatrical release, big, like the studios do. And it was an amazing movie. If you've never seen the Buddy Holly movie, it's an amazing movie. It's so interesting and so fascinating about the early days of rock and roll and truly what an innovator and what a genius Buddy Holly was. He's not Bill Haley in the comics. He's not just some guy that put on a suit. Buddy Holly was the first guy to write. He was the first rock star to actually go to the recording studio and then argue with the producer. No. See, I wrote the songs. I'm not doing your songs. I'm doing my songs. And I'm going to produce my album. He was the first guy to do that. Nobody did that before. And Buddy Holly was like, no. I'm doing everything. This is my project. He was really quite a special guy in the world of rock and roll, which is why he's held in such high esteem. But Gary Busey played him magnificently. Was nominated for an Oscar. I mean, he was fantastic. In his career, he was considered the next great young leading man.
Wow.
And then a couple of years later, I think around that time he started partying with the wrong people. Took a couple of bad scripts for paydays, and then had a motorcycle accident, and now he's the Busey we all know.
Oh. You know what? I'm happy that this is the way it went because Gary Busey is like a normal method actor would be boring, but I like the Gary Busey who's like chasing helicopters down,
You like the Gary Busey that could spin off this planet at any minute.
Yeah.
Any minute he can just go extraterrestrial.
He's exciting. He's much more exciting.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, what is the thinking behind the seatbelt law? Is it for our own good? Because now, if that's the reason I hate that, don't be Big Brother. I don't need a Big Brother. Don't do anything for my own good. I'm an American citizen. The whole point of liberty is that I'm able to make my own mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, but I think that's exactly what it is. We know better. I mean, it's almost as crazy as it's illegal to commit suicide.
Yeah. Well, you can't pay taxes if you're dead. So, they don't want people offing themselves.
Just the thought of it is hilarious.
How ridiculous is that, too?
Yeah.
It's illegal to commit. Really? You had to make it illegal? What are you going to prosecute the corpse? What are you going to do? How are you going to make that really? That's illegal?
I wonder if anybody was just such a good person on the inside that when they were telling somebody, look, I'm really depressed, I may end up offing myself, they're like, you do know that that's illegal. What?
Oh, man.
Oh.
Well, I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Well,
yeah, in life, but you're about to die, so what do you care? Turn over a new leaf. New attitude. You're a criminal in death. No, okay, so, I understand 55 saved lives. I get that. I understand why we have speed limits, because now other people are affected. If you're doing 150 miles an hour, you're running the risk of injuring me, harming others. That I get. I understand mandating a speed for everyone so that there's sort of some cohesion as far as, what's safe and what's unsafe. But a seatbelt, that's a very personal thing. And, look, I wear a seatbelt because I have been through the windshield of a car. I learned the hard way. I was not wearing a seatbelt when I had my horrible car accident at 17 years old. Probably because I was really drunk. That's why I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. I was thrown through a windshield. So I still have the scars.
Really? Me too.
Yeah.
We got it right in the exact same place. I was thrown out the window.
How big does yours go?
You can really see it if I work out. Because
it
starts pulsing.
it gets red. Yeah, when I get sunburned. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, mine goes all the way.
Oh, mine doesn't go that far. Mine's like
curls
here to there.
Curls right here at the end. But
wow.
But it's like 20-something years old, so it's really faded. Which is
Did you have to get the sanding jobs done on your head?
Yeah, I had some things like that done, and I did years and years of vitamin E treatments. You remember that?
Yeah, I had to do all types of crazy. When I did it, I was like 3 when I was tossed out a window.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, Brandon's laundry's done.
Either that or cookies.
Yeah, no, so you were 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, you were driving at 3?
I was giving it a shot anyway.
That's pretty cool.
Didn't work out.
No, I guess not. But really, seatbelts, that just seems to me to be an outright infringement upon our liberty.
It really does. And that's the reason why it was so infuriating when there's not only violating on our liberties, even if you want to be a complete idiot, you should be able to ride around without a seatbelt. Yeah. Even more so, I want you to ride around without a seatbelt. So and then they're running these ads with our money that we gave them to tell us that we can't ride around without a seatbelt.
I would go so far as to say that I believe that children under the age of 16 should be buckled up.
Sure, because
I think that should be a law. Because you can't. You could have an idiot parent, and really, I know that that's an infringement on the idiot parents' liberties. But as a greater good for society, we need to watch out for the kids of idiot parents. So I think kids need to be seatbelted.
I'm all for that. Yeah.
But if you're driving, I don't think you should be required to wear a seatbelt. If you're old enough to drive, come on.
And really, I'm the idiot person that I'm talking about, because most of the time I find myself driving around without a seatbelt on. But every single time that I do, I say, you know what? I'm only going to hurt myself. Even if I get into a wreck, I'm the one who's going to end up hitting that windshield. Nobody else. Nobody else is going to end up having to do this.
Do you know what I've realized? If I am driving, I instantly put on my seatbelt. It's like second nature. I sit down in the car, put the seatbelt on, put the key in the ignition, it happens naturally. And I'm fine with it, because I am not... Let me make a point here. I am not one of these people who feels my liberties are being infringed upon. As I said, I was thrown through the windshield of a car. So I put the seatbelt on because I've been there, done that, don't want to do it again. But other people who don't have that experience, maybe they need to learn the hard way. And it should be their right to learn the hard way. But what I have discovered is when I drive, I put the seatbelt on. When I'm a passenger, I do not. And whenever I ride with Brandon, Brandon's got one of these annoying cars that boom, 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 boom. Dude, put your seatbelt on. Boom, boom. Dude, put your seatbelt on. Boom. It's like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, geez, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm just not used to being a passenger. But when I'm a passenger and I plopped down in that front seat, it's almost like I've jumped into a beanbag chair in your living room. I'm not really thinking that I need to be all buckled up. All right, so there you have it. Buckle up, and there are cops patrolling Marsh, well, right at where Lemon becomes Marsh. So around Northwest Highway in Royal, there are 2 cops there. One is a motorcycle cop. He is just north of Northwest Highway on the west side of the street. He's underneath a tree, and he's got his motorcycle up on the sidewalk. So just be aware if you're out there. I don't know. And again, this is a podcast, so really, it's not gonna help anybody. You know that there are some people listening live, and maybe some of them have. It's such a small group that could you imagine if someone of the limited people that are listening live, if someone was actually hearing this right now, not only were they listening live at this time, but they got their cell phone into their car jack and they happen to be in the area. Wow, that would be great.
What I like is the idea of somebody at like 4:30 in the morning, trying to make their way home listening to the podcast, and there just happens to be a cop in the exact same place under that tree.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've first time I've done it, but I have seen them. That's the way I take here to the studio every day, and I have seen them there from time to time. So I guess we can officially designate the corridor of Marsh between Northwest Highway and Royal a speed trap because I've seen them there. So be careful. All right, number 2 on our 3 things for today, dude. Check this out. Are you with a major bank?
No.
No, you're not with any bank. That's
No.
right. You are so off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I want to be so off the grid. Oh, well, I need to be off the grid. I get people looking for me. I mean, it's not like I want to be off the grid. It's like I need to be off the grid.
Right.
So you bank online.
Mm-hmm.
You get a debit card and all that stuff.
Got a debit card, yeah.
All right. I lost my debit card. Not that there's anything in there. I got like $60 to my name. But I lost my debit card. And I call last night immediately, cancel it. I check my thing. Nobody has used it or anything. See, that's the other thing about debit cards now. You can use them online for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got to cancel them right away.
Right.
Someone will empty you out if they find it. So I canceled it. And you know what Chase, like the largest bank in the world, told me?
What's that?
10 days.
Yep. That's what they did to me, too.
10 days? It's a piece of plastic. There are banks out there that give you temporary cards until your card comes. You can't adopt that policy.
Yeah.
You can't give me a temporary card. You're going to inconvenience me. And Chase also doesn't, when you open a checking account, it's a virtual checking account. They don't give you checks anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't even have any checks that I can use.
It's insane. And they'll also do the same thing if you want to close your account with Chase. You actually have to wait now.
What?
Yeah, you have
close
to
your account?
Wait to close, yeah, because they want to make sure that no more transactions are going through or anything like that. So for it to officially close...
Well, you can take all your money out, right? You can have like a $1 zero balance or something.
I think so, yeah.
Right,
But for it to officially close, yeah.
All right.
It's insane.
That's not a problem. Yeah, so I lost my debit card. What an inconvenience that is. And I was also thinking, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm going to have to take every dime that I have out of the bank, and I'm going to have to put it in my pocket, and I'm going to have to walk around with every dime that I have for the next 10 days. That's thinking I can live on $6 a day for the next 10 days. Oh, no, forget about it. And then it's 10 days. Anyway, forget it. I don't want to go into my own money issues. But it's like it's 1982 again. It's like I'm forced to now. Like if I wanted to go to the bank, if I had money in the bank, if I wanted to go to the bank and take it out, I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the bank. I have to talk to a teller.
That's actually what I did to
It's
myself
archaic.
when I had a bank, because I was just so bad with money that if I went out with my debit card, I was going to be spending like, a couple $100 on beer.
So you monitored yourself.
Yeah, so I would make it to where I had to go to the bank and go get the cash, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm giving myself this much for the night, and then, never ended up being enough, but I at least didn't spend the money. But now I don't even have that, so I am that guy that has basically his entire allowance like in his pocket and just hopes for the best.
I'm living like it's 1982.
Yeah.
It is. And you know what? When they turn my cable off in a couple of days, it will really be like 1982. It'll be exactly like that, yeah. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to start boiling my hot dogs in water, not using the microwave. And you know what? I'm also going to disconnect my garage door opener and open my garage door by hand, just so I can do the whole retro thing. I'm going to live retro.
And then judge everybody who's like doing all this modern twist on everything.
Yeah. I'm so cool. Look at how cool. Look how interesting I am. I live like it's 1982. This man has been living like it's 1982. What else would I need to do?
Oh, does your automatic garage door make you happy? Look at this.
Yeah.
I can do that.
This is why we're all so fat, because nobody gets out of their car to open their garage anymore. Said the fat guy getting out of his car to open the garage.
And you know what? I'm just going to walk to work.
Nah, not 1882. I'm doing 1982. I'm still going to drive to work.
No, just get progressively more and more hipster.
Just keep progressing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think, I don't know. All right, anyway, Another thing that I wanted to mention. Do we know what's going on here? This is just the third because we don't do a lot of politics. But the third thing, you know what's going on with Mubarak? Is he dead? There's
so weird.
We can't get a straight answer out of anybody. 2 days ago, he was dead. Then CNN said he wasn't dead. Then ABC said he was dead. Then ABC corrected themselves and said that no, he's not dead. He's critical. And then for the last 24, 48 hours, it's been a blackout. It's just Mubarak fate unknown.
I think that this might be the super zombie that we've been looking for.
Super Mubarak zombie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't kill him?
Yeah, we've been seeing teases of the zombie apocalypse, but it seems that, when that guy shot him right in the head or in the chest a couple times, he got rid of that one. But maybe Mubarak is the underground story that we're about to find out that it really starts in Egypt.
Mubarak, of course, the deposed former dictator, president for life of Egypt, who last year was rousted out of office, and they ushered in some elections, and they got their freedom. They sure did. Oh, good for them. Good times for the Egyptian people. They want to be just like us Americans. Oh, they're going to have an election. Oh, geez, they elected radicals. I mean, that's basically what happened over there. But what I'm wondering about Mubarak is, a year ago he was fine. A year ago, he wasn't sick. He was fine. And now all of this goes on. He gets kicked out of office. His sons are in prison. He's on his deathbed now all of a sudden. Do you think this did it to him? Do you think if he was still in office, would he be sick? Or do you think that this really, the stress of the last year, is what caused all of these problems?
Well, they are heart issues. So you can almost completely correlate, the two, being in such a crazy time that he is. But I think that he is dead. I don't think that because if you remember the night that this kind of started peeking out and they started talking about it, there had to have been tens of thousands, I would say hundreds of thousands of people in Tahrir Square. So if you give them the news that Mubarak is dead while there's all those people in the square, you've got a mess on your hands.
Yeah, because the people are back protesting because of the election results.
Right. Yeah. So
because they're protesting because the CIA didn't do their job. The CIA didn't get the right guy elected, and now they're upset.
Well,
the people are upset because. Wait, what's going on? What's going on over there is that they had free elections, and they didn't elect anybody. Remember the people that were fighting for their freedom because they want to be just like us. They didn't elect anybody that our government wants to deal with. The two closest, the two most vote getters, the two vote getters who earn the most votes, that's redundant, I apologize, are Mubarak's deputy. It'd be like if we kicked Obama out because we didn't like him, but then had another election and elected Biden. Right. We'd be like, what? Yeah, the same guy, same administration. So they elected that guy. They elected Mubarak's deputy, and then they also elected this gang of thugs from the Muslim Brotherhood, who are a sort of sanitized version of an Islamic radical group. They are historically a radical group who, in recent years, have tried to make strides towards being more legitimate. But
try to put themselves out there as being a little bit more progressive too, which is really funny.
They're attempting to be accepted, just right. as Arafat did with the PLO. They're trying to mainstream themselves so that they can actually be included in these talks and be taken seriously on the world stage. But at their core, they are still radical Muslims. So we don't want to deal with them. So, now the people are all gathering because there's some contention between the two groups. When we here in America, we're watching this and we're going, Jesus, we don't like either of those groups. Now we don't know what horse to back in this race.
Well, and they're very pissed off, and it's most likely our hand in this. The military.
Oh, yeah. Our CIA mafugied this whole thing from the beginning, from the outset.
No. I think that they lost grasp on the entire election process, and that's why the military ended up stepping in after the election and said, hey, by the way, that was all fun, but we actually rule this place. And that's what they ended up doing.
We got the guns.
Yeah, well, yeah. So basically, when that person goes into power, they have to run everything by the military, and that's why half of those people were out there. The other half were out there because they didn't like their options.
Yeah.
The other half were out there because the military just took over. And one of the things that really aggravated the original protesters is that they didn't get their own person on the ballots. They wanted to have somebody else on there, and that got completely phased out. And
who was that? That professor guy?
It was somebody who was really well respected, very well educated. I'm not sure what his name was, but he got kind of pushed out of the way very quickly. And in the areas that the pockets of people that had a lot of support for him, that's where the military went in and literally just set up shop. I mean, like, if you were to go out and protest, you got shot at. That's the way it went down. And none of that stuff even made it over to us in the last few months. Many of those places look a lot like Syria, and we don't even know. So it's insane. And so yeah, we finally got our hand in there, and the military is now basically working for us. We're teasing them with billions of dollars of money.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're like, hey, so you're gonna do this?
So
for
wait,
us or
Jimmy
what?
Ryan, are you suggesting that we, America, who wants democracy and people to be able to vote for their own best interests around the world, are you saying that we don't like the results of the election, so we are now as shadows backing the military in Egypt to say, hey, drop the hammer on these people? They voted for the wrong dudes.
If I think that anybody who thinks that we're
So
going
American.
around pushing around democracy, we don't benefit when people are democratic in their ways of doing things.
No, that's brilliantly said. We benefit when people are under a dictatorship who bows to us.
And if
we love that. We love a dictator who's brutal to his people but does everything that we say. That's what we want around the world.
And if they are going to be somebody who, or a country that's going to vote for anybody, we need to make sure that it's capitalistic because we can take care of that. I mean, if we can put a McDonald's on every corner of that place, we actually do benefit again. Yeah. So it has to go one way or the other. It has to be an oppressive dictator who basically works for us, or it has to be a democracy that is based in capitalism so we can send our McDonald's over. It's the only two ways. Otherwise, we start working for your military and start telling them when they get paid and when they don't.
Yeah, we don't want you guys starting your own version of McDonald's.
Right.
We want you to take ours.
No.
We don't want you to create an Egyptian Coca-Cola. We want you to have ours.
Speaking of which, Coca-Cola, originally based here in America. Have you seen the stuff that they're coming out with?
They're an Atlanta company.
In Japan?
Oh.
They've got these awesome things in Japan. You would think that they would have them over here. You go to like a 20-ounce Coke, right? And it's like a freeze pop when you get it out. And then you can like basically hit it a couple times and it turns into a regular soda again. And you can drink the regular soda. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I don't want that. Isn't it flat?
No, I think that it's
frozen
supposed to
Coke
have something.
Is flat.
Yeah, there's something to it though. They've actually it's Japan. They figure out weird things, like how to recarbonate your water. But it's the weirdest thing. It was really cool.
Let me tell you something.
Coke.
Here, let's take a break here. I'll come back. I'm gonna tell you about my Coke thing. I made homemade soda last weekend with my son.
Really?
Yeah. I needed something. I'll tell you about. I got a whole thing on soda. I believe it has a lot to do with what we talked about just a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I'll give you my homemade soda recipe. Yeah, you'll love it.
Nice.
You'll love it. It's fantastic. All right, we'll take a break. We got a lot of stuff I want to get to today. We'll run down some of this stuff. If you check out my Facebook page and also check out the barlive.com Facebook page, I didn't post these there. I should have. I just realized now that I should have posted these there. So in the future, all of these sort of hints as to what we'll be discussing here on PMS will be on thebarlive.com. I want to talk about a campaign, Jimmy. I put this up on my Facebook page. Maybe you want to check it out on my Facebook page.
Okay.
There's a campaign underfoot in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota Duluth, which is trying to make white people realize that it's unfair to be white. That somehow, basically that if we have even some modicum of white guilt, we should enhance that. We should be overflowing with white guilt. Talk about that. You want to talk about a provocative issue right there. An outgoing...
So they're going to send all the white people around in blackface so that they have to...
Well, you should see the video. I'm going to read some of the comments that people on my Facebook page... It's a very provocative, very interesting issue. Also, I want to talk about this outgoing congressman. There is nothing I love more than retiring politicians.
I know.
They don't care. Outgoing congressman from New York wants the American people to know that he knows that we've gotten dumber. We're just dumb. And he's so glad that he's done with politics because it's the American people's fault. It's not the politicians' fault. It's the American people's fault. So we'll talk about that. Also, we got more cannibals in Florida. We're going to put Matt Baldwin. We're going to put Alec Baldwin under the douche microscope. We're going to find out if he's a douche today. And it was a couple of days off, but Matt Drudge is at it again.
Oh.
All right, all that and more coming up on PMS, the Pugs Moran Show, with Jimmy Ryan on thebarlive.com. right, we're back. It is PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on thebarlive.com with Jimmy and Ryan. We're here every Tuesday through Friday, noon to 2, right here at thebarlive.com. Bunch of stuff to get to. Promised I'd give you my my soda recipe. I'm learning how to make homemade soda. Why? Well, I don't know, because I need something. I need something that's inexpensive, and I need something to divert my attention from everything else that's going on. So here's the deal with soda. I like soda. It's my one true vice. I could probably quit everything that's bad for me, except for soda. It is so hard, and I just can't handle diet soda. I just don't like it.
And why bother? If you're gonna have a soda, might as well have a real soda. That's the way I look at it.
Right, but if you're gonna have a soda every hour, on the hour, all day long, like I like to have, I mean, there are times in my life, stretches where I will always have something. I mean, it's all been water recently, but that's just because I've been clobbered over the head with all of this, not new information, but new to me information about how horrible soda is for you. How just unbelievably nasty it is. And not only how many calories are in soda, store-bought, mass-produced commercial soda, but how many needless calories are in these sodas.
Right.
These sodas are just 100 times worse for you than they need to be. So, and if you've watched, there is this new commercial on TV. It's an infomercial for a home soda maker, so that you can make your own soda pop at home. It's like a machine with a carbonation cartridge in it, and you make the own ingredients and all that. You make the syrups, or you can order the syrups from them, and you just make your own soda at home. And it's got a third less calories because, one, you're using real sugar. You're not using this high fructose corn syrup. And you're also not putting a whole bunch of other crap in there that goes in there that you really don't need that increase the calories, but, for some reason, soda companies make it. So I've been online, and I've got this idea, that I want to open. I want to open like a small lunch restaurant or something. But what the hook that I want it to be is I want to have all our own boutique sodas. So nice. you come in, we'll have crazy flavors, and we'll have classic cola. You want a Coke, you need the cola flavor. We'll have a classic homemade cola. We'll have a classic Dr. Pepper type. We'll have the all-American lemon lime, which is your Sprite or 7-Up or whatever you want. And we'll do that. But we'll also do crazy rainbow soda flavors and all of that, and we'll do floats. That's an idea that I have, and I think that's a good gimmick. I think it's a good gimmick to have homemade. So I think people will like them, and people will travel to get sodas, homemade sodas.
I forgot where I saw this. It must have been some type of documentary or something. But it was a guy that has a soda shop. He's run it for about 30 years now. And he has every single type of soda that you can come up with. I mean, rare.
Who is this guy? I've got to study this guy. I've got to see what he's doing.
I got to find out what his name is. But he
Boy,
has.
If you can, will you let me know ASAP? And I am absolutely serious about this.
Yeah. I'll actually look for it right now. But he has this amazing variety and stuff that you have to import from other countries. He'll actually just have it ready to go. So I mean, you can get these weird Japanese colas, all different types of random stuff. It's really cool. But it wasn't until then that I really had an appreciation for it and realized that there were people that really take that soda seriously.
Homemade soda, if made the way I make it and with the recipe that I have, will give you for a 12-ounce can 36 calories. And it's fully leaded, sweet, real fruits, real flavors, carbonated soda, 36 calories. Now, if you were to go and buy a strawberry knee-high, that would, for the same 12-ounce can, would be 164 calories. So, I think there's something here. I think that there's Americans drink 50 gallons of soda pop a year. And Americans are ridiculously overweight. So there is this, New York City has this new ban where they don't want people buying sodas over 16 ounces, I think is the number. And this is all in an effort to get people healthier. People are not going to give up drinking soda. It's about as American as it gets. Coca-Cola is all American. But if you can come up with something that will relieve the guilt in people of having a soda, something a little bit cheaper, a little bit exotic, a little bit different, I think that can work. Okay, whatever that is, you need to send that to me.
Yeah.
What is it? Geico's Soda Pop Shop?
Soda Pop Stop. If sodapopstop.com if you want to look at it. But it's this documentary called Obsessives, and this guy just goes on to talk about
All right,
Oh,
but
you
he's
just-
not making his own sodas, though. Those are all just all the boutique sodas you can buy.
Right.
Yeah.
But the guy just has a real appreciation for it. I didn't realize that there were people that really take this stuff seriously. And
Obsessive compulsive.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's one of these guys, and it's funny because me being somebody that enjoys soda but never really thought about it. After I watched this, I wanted all of his soda, because like all of a
Yeah.
sudden I was like, man, that guy, he has a point. Soda's really good.
You know, when I go to a store that has an exceptional soda aisle, like there was a Whole Foods up in Frisco that had just an unbelievable soda selection. It was like an entire row of all of these boutique sodas. I can get lost in that.
Yeah.
There are so many cool, like Jones Soda, which is probably the best known of the boutique sodas. I love everything that Jones Soda makes. I love their green apple soda. Have you had that?
Yep.
It's a green apple Jolly Rancher soda. It is the most delicious thing you could ever imagine. But even Jones Soda is like 150 calories. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and but at the same time though, it has that really good sugar taste. You know what I mean? Like the real sugar.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was that big of a difference between because I
Sure.
have nothing but high fructose corn syrup. That you get that real sugary taste. It does have a little. I mean, it has a different taste. It
Have
tastes
you ever
better.
had Mexican Coke?
Yeah.
Isn't Mexican Coke like the greatest Coke in the world?
It's amazing.
Because it's real cane sugar.
Yeah.
It's not high fruit. We're used to this high fructose corn syrup substituting for sugar with all of its bad calories and how awful it is for you. Remember, corn is terrible for us. Just because it happens to be the thing that grows the most commonly here in America doesn't mean we need to force ourselves to eat it. I mean, corn, they can fuel engines with corn. I mean, that ought to tell you we shouldn't be putting it in our human body. If you can turn it into some kind of a propulsion device,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
probably not. And it's also, I always say this, corn, man. We got to get off the corn here in this country. We got to get off the corn, or we got to commit to corn and making it a new form of energy.
Right.
That's what we need to do. But we got to stop eating the corn.
Yeah. Let's get off the corn.
Well, your body tells you don't eat corn every time you take a dump and you see that there are corn kernels. Your body is rejecting the corn. Your body does not break it down. It's like there is nothing there for me. It's nothing but garbage. We'll suck the fat out of it and then we'll just pass the rest of it. That's what corn does. It's nothing but fat. It's nothing but bad stuff. All right, so here's my soda recipe. You know how you do? Here's what you got to do. Okay. Now, I cheated because this was my first attempt at making it. So I just used club soda. So I went and got some club soda at the store.
Okay.
Seltzer water, carbonated water. But what you got to do is you got to make the what they call what do they call it? The syrup first. And that's pretty difficult. So what you need to do, what I did was I took strawberries and I mashed and mashed and mashed and mashed and mashed and mashed and mashed all of these strawberries. Then added a little bit of water to it and poured it over a strainer so that it all went through, into the strainer thing. Like I had a little catcher, so I had nothing but mashed up strawberries in the strainer, but all the juice and everything was underneath.
Right.
Then what you do is you take sugar. I don't have the exact, stuff. Take sugar and a little bit of cinnamon, and then you put it in a frying pan, right? And you let it all fry up. How the sugar will start to caramelize with the strawberries and all that, and you whip it and you whip it and you whip it, and it will liquefy. It'll get sort of thick, but it will liquefy. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as it gets to the point where it's just like kind of bubbling a little bit, turn it off, put it in a glass jar, and stick it in the refrigerator for a couple hours. Let it freeze. Then take it out of the refrigerator, whip it up because it'll be a little thick at this point. You're going to want to mix it up a little bit again, and then maybe you'll add a little bit more water just to see if you can liquefy it some. Mm-hmm. You get a glass of ice. You take the syrup. You pour the syrup over the ice. Then you take the club soda. You pour the club soda over it. You shake it in an ice shaker. Oh, it is the best damn soda, homemade soda you ever had.
Wow.
My kid loved it.
That sounds good.
And I kept chasing him around with 36 calories. It's only 36 calories, buddy. See? It doesn't have to be 150 calories or 0 calories. Because
Right.
the 0 calorie tastes like crap.
Right.
But the 36 calorie tastes awesome.
Yeah. I got to try it then because I do love sodas and I will not go to any of those like the low carb ones or anything like that because it's all sodium and aspartame.
Right,
and
but that's the other thing. There's no salt, there's no sodium, there's none of that other junk that is so bad for you with sodas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason that you gain weight with the sodas. It's the sugar and the sodium. The sodium makes you retain everything. Your body sort of, like too much sugar, it's bad, or too much salt is bad for you. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I want to do. All right, let's talk about this story that's coming out of the University of Minnesota Duluth. Oh, geez, oh, Pete, did you happen to take a look at this thing?
No, I didn't hear about it.
Give me this thing. Let me plug this in. Let me plug in my computer so I can play this for you. The University of Minnesota Duluth, which I don't know what that's all about. I ain't never been there. I spent some time in Minnesota, but I don't know anything about Duluth.
Not Duluth.
No. The University of Minnesota Duluth is now sponsoring an ad campaign designed to achieve racial justice by raising awareness of white privilege. Ah, boy, here we go. Can't we just be post-racial? Seriously, this upsets me as much as. And by the way, by white privilege, this isn't like these aren't white supremacists. These are the opposite end of the spectrum. These are people who are so guilty that they're white that they feel they owe the black people something.
How old are these people?
I hate that mentality.
Because I
we
understand.
owe our friends of color? Kindness, decency, to just treat them like we would treat anyone else, and we would hope that they would do the same. Let's look past color. Sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
No, I growing up, we already have. Anybody that went to school with me, we never had racial issues. That just never happened. And then I would get home, and the parents would talk about how there were racial issues.
Yeah.
And I would look over at my friend Marquise and be like, hey, you want to go out? It made no sense to me, and it still doesn't. So, the only person who would still have this incredible, of course, it was horrible, but the guilt is held on the people that came before us. I'm not the one who is going around, oh, let's haul in all these people. We're going to get a lot of money off the slave trade this week.
Yeah, but Jimmy, I'm going to tell you, that's not exactly true, because there are people my age, and I would think that my generation was the first generation that was really progressive on this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Generation X, whatever you want to call us. Our parents were all racist, although my mother wasn't. My mom was a hippie who taught me to love everybody. But certainly my grandparents were very, I'm not going to say racist, because my grandfather never thought he was better than anyone else, but he was bigoted. Mm-hmm. He didn't want anybody that, but again, he was also bigoted against white people. If you were a German guy, he didn't want to have anything to do with you. If you were an Italian guy, he didn't want to have anything to do with you. He only wanted to deal with white Irish Catholic people. That was it. Anyone else was a problem.
Yeah, my grandpa was like that.
So it's not so much racist as much as it is just ignorant about everything.
Well, you're always, the one thing that is going to be a hurdle for the rest of our society is for the rest of the time being, is going to be every single time that you grow up, growing up the way you are. If you're going to be white, black, Indian, no matter what it is, you are going to have something in you that says, we're the best. You know what I mean?
Why though?
Because it's just the way you were born. It's the way that you were wired. When your brain is trying to figure out why you
That's
are.
That's ego, though. You got to control your ego.
Yeah, but it's very human to have it.
I certainly don't think I'm the best.
No. It's very simple. It's ingrained inside of you. It's something that helps you. It's actually a survival skill. Without having that, you wouldn't really have the motivation to save yourself in certain situations if you were back in nature having to deal with those situations. It's the reason why we've adapted. And because of that, it is going to be a hurdle. It's part of who we are. But I don't think that we ever really had those issues when we were growing up. Whenever I hear that there's still racism going on, it's always some old person who, now, understandably, really, civil rights was just in the 60s, so it's 50 years ago. It's not very long ago. So it's still kind of warm, but there's no issues like that anymore. I can't imagine somebody my age would go around saying, oh, all these racist people around me. It just never happened.
You know what you might find? When I was your age, and I don't want to be the old man here, but when I was your age, none of my friends were racist. But now I see some of the things that my friends from back home that I grew up with post on their Facebook page, and just, nobody has the courage to just go, I hate effing ends. It's always something subtle, something cowardly nuanced, that leads you to the way I've been monitoring the Drudge Report. Me and Bill Maher, we've got a joint project we're working on. We're monitoring the Drudge Report. That's nuanced racism. Drudge doesn't have the balls to come right out and say the things that he wants. So he words it in a way that makes people go there on their own, with their own mind. I'm shocked by the attitudes of some of my friends that grew up with me with the same experiences and all that stuff. And I'm also shocked. I know people here who are my age who, well, what do you expect? They're just a bunch. And then they'll flop out the N-word. And I'm always just like, are you kidding me? You can't even do that. I mean, I can't be sitting at a table with 3 people and some idiot decides he's going to drop the N-bomb. I can't fight every battle, you know? You can't go, oh, I take offense at you saying that in my company. It's just like all I do is just raise my head and I know all I need to know about you. You know,
Yeah.
that's all I need to know about you. Forget it. Anything else, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I just took a mental note saying that I'm not going to be hanging out with that guy.
Right.
Just because I'm not interested. So, yeah,
We've got well, I was going to say, never mind.
my friends are almost guaranteed at some point to start going in that direction, but it's not because it was ingrained in anybody when they were young. It is because of places like the Drudge Report.
Yes, it's life experiences.
Yeah, it's things that'll go on.
You become an adult, you start working hard, you start feeling maybe unfulfilled in your life, and you start lashing out and looking for someone else to blame for it. So what happens? What's the old adage? Shit rolls downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you start to do is you start to blame the people under you. So if you're a middle-class person, you're going to blame the lower class for all of your problems. You're not going to blame the upper class because you're kissing the upper class's ass because you're hoping to get some of their table scraps. But that's the whole shit rolls downhill. You know,
Yeah.
A working class white man who's having a hard time is more likely going to blame someone who's has less than them, a minority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all this stuff comes from. At any rate, and you know, I would like to say this. This is sort of a beautiful little project I've been monitoring for the last 3 years. My son is 3 years old. My son has no idea about the difference between race. He has, in the apartment building that I live in, you know, it's a very mixed apartment building. It's right over there by it's a lot of pilots from, you know, Southwest. It's a lot of medical people from the medical district, which is over in that area. It's a lot of younger people, but it's not a party complex. I would say that it's a 30 plus adult complex, you know, as opposed to the one where there's going to be all night parties and you're banging on the walls and all that. It's nothing like that. My kid has no idea of the difference between black and white. He does it, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like when we go to the pool, and there's a group of black kids playing in the pool here, and maybe there's a white kid over here, and my kid doesn't think twice about which one to go up to. He just goes up to whoever he wants to talk to more. And you know, he plays with the black kids the same way he plays with the white kids. He plays with the Hispanic kids, and I love that. And I sit there on the side of the pool and I just watch him, and I go, you know what? That's just effing great. I hope that doesn't change. I hope that the evils of this world over the course of the next 17 years of his life or whatever, when he becomes a young adult, don't change him. Don't somehow sour him.
It is a very much a self-fulfilling prophecy, this whole, you know, thing about racism, how racism's going rampant, and then it becomes rampant. I think that's more so the case because I was doing the exact same thing, you know, when I was a kid. I'll never forget. Love my grandpa, but just like you said, he was one of those Irish guys. He just didn't really understand, I guess. My dad brought him out to football practice while he was in town, right? So this is when I'm in Pee Wee, and me, my friend Kenny, and my friend Michael Sampson, you know, 2 black guys. After the practice, we start playing football and stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these are his 2 friends," and my grandpa goes, "Oh."
Like he was a little stunned that you would be commiserating with some darkies.
Yeah, and then I just kind of looked up, and then we ran back over and started playing a little bit of football again. And in my head, I was kind of like running that over in my head, and I was like, man, so weird that like we're over here playing, we're having a great time, and they're still working out racial issues on the sidelines over there while they watch this whole thing
Just
go down.
stop it. Just stop. Relax, okay? The world has passed you by. Your antique way of looking at things is really dragging us all down.
Yeah, and the only way that thing persists is if you keep on bringing it up and keep on enforcing it. I mean, like that's the only reason why somebody who wasn't racist becomes slightly racist.
Well, here's what I want to do on this story. Okay, so the University of Minnesota Duluth is now sponsoring an ad campaign designed to achieve racial justice by raising awareness of, quote, white privilege. The project disseminates its message that society was set up for whites. For us whites. I'm sorry, this is a white organization that is doing this. This is a self-loathing white organization, or some white organization that certainly is overwhelmed by white guilt, which I hate. I hate the idea of white guilt. I hate the idea that I somehow have to make amends for things that people a long time ago did that had nothing to do with me, didn't have my sensibility. When it comes to this, I'm not going to say that I'm a good person all around. I make mistakes just like anybody else. But when it comes to racial equality and racial acceptance and all, I mean, I'm a good person. I certainly don't have any judgments or I don't think I have a bigoted bone in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like people who drink Pepsi. That's the one thing I can say. I don't understand why people would go with the silver medal cola. You got Coke is there. Why are you drinking Pepsi? But here, let me finish reading this, and then we'll take a break. And what I want you folks to do is I want you to go to the Facebook page, my Facebook page, John Pugs. You're probably already a friend of mine. If you're not, you can go there. I want you to go there, and I want you to check out the video. It says, Unfair Campaign PSA, okay? The project disseminates its message that society was set up for us whites and as such is unfair through an aggressive campaign of online videos, billboards, and lectures. The ads feature a number of Caucasians confessing their guilt for the supposed privilege that comes along with their fair features. All right, let's take a break here, Jimmy Ryan, and give people a chance maybe if they want to check that out on the Facebook page. And then we'll come back and we'll play it and we'll listen to it and we'll discuss it and we'll figure out what the hell are these people? I mean, this is as racist as anything else that can be done, and I'll explain why that is. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back. It is PMS, the Pugs Moran Show, on thebarlive.com for a Thursday afternoon. We're going to be here for the next hour, so stick around with us. We'll come back, and we'll go through this University of Minnesota Duluth unfair campaign. White guilt. It's thebarlive.com. All right, it's thebarlive.com. PMS, the Pugs Moran Show, for a Thursday afternoon here with Jimmy Ryan at the beautiful Sun Brew Party Summer Jam House here in sunny North Texas. North Dallas, to be more exact. Jimmy and I were just talking. I told you about my kid. He's 3 years old. He has really no racial awareness at all. He knows that some people look different, but he knows that a lot of people look different. He knows that daddy looks different than mommy. He knows that, the next-door neighbor is a tall, skinny lady. She looks different than the other next-door neighbor, who are the Navy SEALs that work over at Love. He knows people are different, and he doesn't see skin color any differently than he sees height, which
Right.
I think is, at this point, at 3, which I think is important, which kind of proves that, someone's racial awareness really does have a lot to do with who's spouting off around them,
Yeah. Because I've been in many situations where somebody will, throw out the word, like the N-word or something, and then certain people become accepting of that, and then they'll just kind of play along. Like, have you ever been on an Xbox 360 game? Like, have you ever seen one of these live games?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've played once.
That is the word. It might as well be you.
The N-word?
Yeah, it might as well be you.
But is it the hip-hop sort of toned down with an A at the end of it?
No, this is more of a 4chan version of it, where it's just everything is that.
Nigger. They're saying, really?
Just nonstop,
Like pejoratively? Or are they saying, they're
just
not saying,
as a joke.
They're not saying nigga.
No.
They're saying the ugly one.
Right. Yeah, just because you ended up going around them and scoring in a game of hoops or something.
Well, you know what? There's two schools of thought on that. And one is just demystify the word.
Yeah.
Use it as much as possible so that the word does kind of become a cornball word.
Right.
But when you put a label on a word that says that this word is somehow special and therefore not to be used, you make it even worse. And that's what the N-word has been. And that's what saying things like the N-word does. If we just talked about the word, there is difference in using the word and explaining something than seeing somebody on the street and going, I hate that N. There's a difference there.
Sure. And everybody knows that. There's many people that will play Xbox Live that... I don't think anybody's ever been so offended that they stopped playing Xbox Live because of it. It is a rampant problem, though.
Really? Yeah.
If that's what they're doing, they're trying to demystify the word. They're doing a damn good job.
It's like 23-year-old girls and calling each other hooker or slut or whore.
Right.
That word has been completely demystified in that little demographic. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. It now means something silly and something to be completely marginalized and dismissed. One girl will go, oh my God, I love your shoes, you slut. That's how girls talk. It doesn't mean the same thing anyway. The word has been demystified. But we hang these medals of importance around the neck of the word nigger, and suddenly that word takes on this behemoth of a presence in any conversation, anywhere. It's silly. It's a word. You need to say the word. You need to say the word so that people know that it's a stupid word.
Yeah. It's the same thing goes with so many words. Retarded. If you call somebody retarded, if there's 20 people in the room, one person's gonna hop up and say, "My aunt's retarded," and my aunt is, she has Down syndrome.
But again, if you call somebody retarded, you're using it in a pejorative way. You're using it in a way to make them feel less.
Right.
So maybe that's a bad example.
But it doesn't mean you literally have Down syndrome. You see what I mean? That's not the same thing. It's kind of like when one of my good friends will do something that, maybe he runs with his arms flailing about, and I'll be like, "Oh, you are so gay." It doesn't mean that
Gay!
I thought that he's going around and hooking up with other friends.
Gay, faggot, those are all the same things. We need to demystify these words.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They're not. They're stupid words.
Yeah, it's. But you will always run into that one person.
We need to keep cunt in the closet, though. That's still an ugly word.
I love cunt.
You like that word?
Yeah, I love it.
I still think that's an ugly word.
No, and I think that it also has to do with watching so much English programming. They say cunt as if it's nothing.
It's not a swear over there.
No.
It's in England. I was blown away by that. You're absolutely right. In England, cunt is like asshole.
Yeah.
That's the importance that word takes on over there. Here, we've somehow made it into some awful slur. And I don't
But
know.
it is exactly what you're talking
It
about.
is a great word. That's a great tough
It's strong,
word, though, isn't
yeah.
it? It's a strong unt.
Yeah.
Unt.
And they've found
great
so many
word.
different ways of using it now, too. I mean, like, here we have the effing, but there they just say cunting.
Yes,
It's just a
and
cunting mess.
And then not only that, but they also say that people are acting cunty.
Yeah.
Which I like.
You're being very cunty.
He's
yeah.
being a bit cunty.
Yeah.
I love that. And it seems so proper coming from an English person, and as an American with our, idea of what the word is. We're, whoa! And then we're like, oh, wait, he just said that to his grandma. It must not be that bad over there.
Yeah.
It must not
or
mean...
grandma said it.
And it means the same thing. It's just that it doesn't hold the sort of social significance that it does here.
But it's exactly what you're talking about. You say it more often, and it takes away the power that word has.
Yeah.
It just turns into the joke. It's like, oh, that was a pretty good joke.
That's what we need to do. I mean,
Yeah.
when we start putting people, we kick people off TV, or we say we censor people, artists, and all this stuff for using the word nigger. I mean, all that does is reinforce what that word is. That word, first, I believe the origin of that word is from the slave days for ignorant Negro. I think that's where it comes from. And it was a slang, or at least that's how I've heard it explained. I mean, there are other people who have different versions of the origin. But yes, the word nigger was for ignorant Negro because the people who worked in the fields were ignorant. It's not like, oh, you're ignorant, you didn't say thank you when I bought you dinner. No, it was ignorant, meaning they couldn't read or write.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just what they started calling them. And now it's like, I don't know. It's just a word. It's a stupid word.
Yeah,
it's a word that's been used in awful, awful ways. And the more we put that word on a shelf and the more we hide it away, we give it a special significance. And therefore, it really does mean something. If we were to just completely forget about all of that and not worry about it, the word wouldn't mean anything. It would mean nothing. Somebody calls you an asshole. Do you get all bent out of shape? No. I've been called an asshole a million times. Well,
I call myself an asshole a million times a day.
Exactly. So, we're not going to solve that. That word isn't coming off the shelf anytime soon, but maybe it should. I mean, I think there's maybe a different way to look at that word and a way to look at what that word does to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely, the more you use it, the less power it ends up having. And, it's just... these things work each other out. That's why I really don't care for... I know that the FCC ended up basically... Did they lose the suit?
Yes.
Against... Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, hopefully we're going to find out that we're able to use words like adults in this country.
What Jimmy is talking about is the FCC fined to the tune of a couple $1 million ABC and Fox. But let's focus on the Fox fine because the ABC fine had to do with nudity. But Fox Network had a Billboard Award show a number of years ago, and Cher was on the Billboard Awards, and she said the F word during a speech or something, whatever. Well, Fox got fined by the FCC, and Fox said, hey, look, this is live programming. This falls under the category of news because news is protected for that kind of stuff. If you're covering a news story and somebody runs by and goes, mother effer, I mean, the news people cannot be in trouble for that because you're covering live breaking news. It's almost like it is. It's a service to the community. You're providing them with, at least that's how news was set up. We know that it's no longer a service to the community. But that is why news and live events have always traditionally been indemnified from, the sort of things that broadcast TV and scripted television and all that would not be.
Such good intentions when they started the news. Really was just good intentions.
Ugly smart people used to give us the news.
Yeah.
Now we've got beautiful dumb people.
Well, and they didn't feel the need to just unnecessarily fill the news with stupid pieces. I watched this video from it was way back when BBC was just getting started. It was so funny. The guy who was the news presenter, that was when TV was first starting there, goes, well, today there's no news. So today we got the piano, and then the guy goes over to this guy, and the guy starts playing piano.
They didn't make up news. They didn't create their news. So Fox and ABC, they took the FCC to the Supreme Court, and was it yesterday or this morning? I don't know. I saw it this morning. I'm not sure when they made the ruling. But the FCC basically said to the Supreme Court said to the FCC, you guys are nuts. Get out of here. We're throwing this court out. Fox doesn't have to pay you $2 million. So what? Cher said the F word. I thought it was a good decision by the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Well, and hopefully it's going to make it to where the FCC actually has to say what you can and can't say. I mean, like, that seems reasonable enough.
Well, it's getting harder and harder for them to monitor and sort of police the way people speak and the way things are presented, because now there are so many mediums. It used to just be radio and TV that they govern, but now there are all kinds of other things that they want to get their hands into, and that's why this is an important step for the Supreme Court to say, before the FCC tries to get involved with the internet and all of that stuff, now the Supreme Court is saying, hey, slow your roll, guys. All right, your days are numbered. The FCC is a huge organization, and I don't know that you guys understand the real purpose of your existence. You're not supposed to be the school teacher with the ruler.
To be honest, I don't think that I understand their full purpose.
Well,
I mean, like, I understand that they're
to
there.
Police the airwaves, but not for obscenity. See, the FCC now is completely believed to be obscenity police. But the FCC is really there to make sure that nobody decides to build a radio station in their backyard and then basically trump the signal of some other, station that's already in existence. I mean, that they're supposed to be making sure that the airwaves are free, and their job is not to police obscenity. But in the last 30 years, that has become the sole purpose of the FCC. That and turning down people's requests for licenses. That's it. That's all they do.
Yeah. I don't think that there's really too. They do tons of stuff with, like, the cell phone networks and things like that. I understand that. I see the point in that. Obviously, with the radio and TV signals, need to police those, make sure that those are taken care of, especially if they're going to be paid for. But yeah, I just don't understand how that's become the one thing. If you were to go to your average American and say, what does the FCC do? They would think basically sit next to their radio and see what's being said.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Monitor morning zoos.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what the FCC does. They make sure that Eddie and Bonzo Boy don't say anything that offends the community. Yeah. All right. So anyway, we've totally gotten off track. We're talking about this University of Minnesota Duluth program campaign it's a university sponsors campaign to undermine, quote, white privilege. The project disseminates its message that society was set up for whites and such as is unfair. Through an aggressive campaign of online videos, billboards, and lectures, the ads feature a number of Caucasians confessing their guilt for the supposed privilege that comes along with their fair features. Let's see here. The self-titled Unfair campaign is sponsored and supported by the University of Minnesota Duluth, along with several liberal organizations, including the NAACP, the YWCA, and the League of Women Voters. As a women are so busybodies. Women are always trying to save the world.
They are the ones that get things done. I mean, I know.
Well, because they go home and they berate their husbands, and the husbands who have all the power then change the way they look at things because they don't want to take a heat from their wife. That's it. It says here, I'm just going to play it for you. So this is the campaign that is airing in Minnesota, and let's just give it a listen. Tell me if you can hear this. All right, the Unfair campaign.
You mean we're lucky to be white?
It's not luck, it's privilege.
We're privileged that people see us, not a color.
Privilege that we don't get stared at when we walk into the room.
Privilege that we don't get followed by security when we go shopping.
Or pulled over when we're in the wrong neighborhood.
We're privileged because society was set up for us, and our silence keeps it in place.
We're privileged, and that's unfair.
All right, so those were all white people of different ages, different genders, talking about white privilege. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this campaign? Is it good intended? Is it just a problem? Does it muddy the conversation further? What do you think?
I think it's good intentions, but I don't think that they have a real firm grasp on what's going to make a difference. But they're trying. Whatever.
You're not going to get white America to suddenly change the way they feel about race by telling them they should feel guilty. This is only going to appeal to white Americans who already feel guilty, who are already so liberal. And again, I hate the word liberal has been turned into a bad word. I mean, the root word of liberal is liberty. It's what we were founded on as a country. So I hate to say liberal in a negative way. But man, I mean, don't you have to admit that there are some bleeding hearts out there who are as bad as the right-wing conservatives?
Oh, I think that they're just as bad.
Just as bad,
Yeah.
just as detrimental to society as a whole. The majority of us are somewhere in the middle. It's not black. It's not, and I don't mean by racial color. Issues are not black and white. Issues are all gray. All issues are gray. Very few things are black and white. But because we're dumb, because we really don't, we're not dumb. We're incredibly bright beings. We're just lazy. And we don't like to have to explore the inner reaches of our mind and think hard on things. So we just go with what feels right or is what's most comfortable or what will get us back to watching 16 and Pregnant quickest. And that's why people have the the whole thing about white versus black is simply a team mentality. It's the same thing with conservative and progressive. It's a team mentality. It is easier. We feel safer if we feel that we are somehow on a team with other like-minded people. We don't even necessarily have to believe it, but we enjoy the comfort of being on a team.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's the same thing that, I was kind of pointing to earlier, where everyone is automatically going to assume they're going to compare, which is what that's how our brain works, comparing things. And then once you compare things, you're going to say, well, what side do I fall on? Because I need to basically root for that one. And it is a very primal thing. It's what, we're given. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that these people would be better fitted if they actually said, you know what, stop staring at the black person who walks in the store, because they don't care for that. Stop pulling over the black and Mexican guy just because they're black and Mexican. That's a more effective campaign. Because instead they're saying, look, everyone's getting this reaction when they're walking into a store.
But
you should feel guilty.
This is
Stop being a prick.
This is tricky.
Yeah.
Because, how do I say this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. But I'm not entirely against profiling. And I'm not talking about profiling black people for being in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time of day. I'm talking about profiling in general. Like, when we're screening people at airports, I really do think it's a big waste of time to be screening the 80-year-old granny from Des Moines. I mean, I really do. But I don't think it's a waste of time to be screening the Arab guy, the 30-year-old Arab or the 25-year-old Arab guy who's traveling with no baggage. That would fall under the guise of profiling. But that is predominantly who we're trying to combat. I mean, the terrorists that we are aware of come from that part of the world. I mean, is it guilt by association? Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, there is some truth to it. You know what I'm saying? There is some truth to it.
Sure, I mean, there is. But for me,
the guys who flew the planes into the towers looked a certain way.
Yeah, and honestly, to me, I think the airports I would rather go to, if there was an option for an airport where there weren't security people over there, where basically everyone just had to go through a metal detector and you had to pass through that, I would do that. The cheaper airport that doesn't have this crazy security thing where no one's getting profiled. And if I have a feeling that somebody's about to get out of line, everyone be on their best, on their toes, because anything could go down. I'm much better off doing that. I don't need to be screened on the way into a plane. If I'm really that freaked out about it, I'll drive. Thanks, guys. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
I had a situation a few months back, and I wasn't on the air, so I didn't really talk about it on the air, but you may have heard about it. I was on the roof of my apartment building with my son watching airplanes take off and land from Love Field. And I saw a car pulls up behind me, and like it was 3 Arab guys and 1 white girl got out, and they started taking pictures of the airport. And the Arab guys were in full Arab dress, and they were walking to all the different points on the roof to get different, perspectives for their camera shots. And, I'm a good American. We're supposed to be vigilant, right? I thought that struck me as odd. It was strange the way they behaved. It was strange the way they all stayed in their car for about 20 minutes because my son and I were up there. And then finally they got out of the car and they commiserated there and they seemed to be having some kind of discussion. And then one of the people, the girl was the first one, the white girl, the American girl, walked up to the edge and started taking pictures. And I'm like, this is weird. And then one of the guys called her back. And then the other 2 guys went to the other sides and started taking pictures. Look, we're supposed to stay vigilant. And I don't know if I was profiling because they were Arab and they were in full regalia, but again, that's the way the people who flew the planes into the buildings looked. So I called Homeland Security. I went down there. I met with them. I put a full report out. I mean, I did everything that as a good, vigilant American I'm supposed to do. And I had people tell me that I was being racist.
You really did all this stuff you're saying.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was very public about it on Facebook and everything. I detailed it all.
Wow. So, like last night, did y'all see the guy that was going around my corner of my house when you were leaving last night? Did you notice the guy that was running around?
No, I
He was
didn't.
about 2 doors down. He was going to the front door of my neighbor's house.
Oh, by the way, Brandon joins us now.
Yeah, I just thought I should jump in here because I heard the topic and I thought it touched me. So basically, he was going into the house next door. He had a hood on, a young kid, probably like 16, black, and it was kind of, it's a little bit sprinkling. But I saw him. Did you not get alarmed by that?
I didn't even see him.
Well, had you saw him, what would you have done in that scenario? I was kind of freaked out.
What would I have done?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't see him. It didn't stick out to me. Okay, say the scenario again.
When you were leaving last night,
Right.
this kid ran up to my neighbor's house, and then he darted to my next, the neighbor next to me, and I couldn't tell what was going on, but it just looked kind of weird. He's probably, he had his head covered up, and he was going in and out. He was kind of a young kid, and he's either black or Hispanic. I couldn't tell. He's just dark.
Everyone's
But,
so goddamn scared. Everyone's so scared.
I mean, I didn't know what to do. You didn't see this at all?
No. Maybe I did. Maybe it just didn't stand out as something. It doesn't sound like he was doing anything wrong. What? He's a black kid in your neighborhood, and
But
so
he's
you
going
wanted to
up
call the
these-
police.
He was going in and out of these houses up in here by the front doors. He went from one to the next. He went to my first neighbor house at the corner. Then he went to my next neighbor.
Okay, but let's forget that he's black. If he was a white kid, you'd wonder why he was going door to door.
But was it not odd to you that he was doing that?
I didn't see it. It
Had you
sounds the way you describe it. Yeah, I mean, it was dark. It was
Boom!
nighttime.
There you go.
It
That's what I'm
sounds-
talking about. Trayvon, right there. You just admitted it. He had a hood because I had a hood on.
I admitted nothing.
Yes, you
I
did.
s- I-
Trayvon was going in and out of
Before
apartment
you just
complex.
went boom, I said if he was, what wouldn't matter. Anyone
No,
going
you
door
said-
to door at night, I would wondering what
Replay
he's
it.
doing in the
There you
neighborhood
go.
because people solicit during the daylight hours.
You just said, though, you would wonder what was going on. You would have been suspicious.
I would wonder what was going on if anybody
That's what
in my
happened with
neighborhood was
Trayvon.
going door to door at night, and that is not what happened. Stop it! Seriously, that's ridiculous, Brandon. I didn't fall into anything there. That is ridiculous.
Trayvon was going in and out of the apartment area.
because it was
whenever-
raining.
I told
See,
you it
there
was
were-
lightly sprinkling. I said it was lightly sprinkling when I started this. I said it was lightly sprinkling.
When I left, it wasn't raining. All right. At any rate, here are some responses. That was ridiculous, Brandon.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
You're profiling people, and you're calling the Homeland Security on them, and you said this guy can run in and out of apartment complexes with a hood on and not look suspicious.
Was it an apartment complex?
Whatever it was in Florida, wherever.
You're talking about Trayvon. No, come on, man. Let's not muddy the waters here. We're talking about something else.
I'm going to step out, but it feels like you're.
No, you don't have to
I feel-
leave. You can stay.
No, actually, I do got to leave. But I feel like you're saying things that we agree upon, but yet you took that Trayvon case to a different level.
Yes, because I don't want to get into the whole Trayvon thing.
All right, you
'Cause
said you
there's-
wouldn't profile people. When I said I was going to
Actually, you know what? There is new details in the Trayvon case that maybe we'll talk about today.
All right, we'll do it when I come back in there later.
All right, but no, that wasn't true at all. All right, thank you. All right, here's what we got here. Some people have posted up here on Facebook about the University of Minnesota Duluth story. Let's see here. Dalen Kinney says, I don't see racism as much as an issue in our society today. If anything, Caucasians appear to have a slight disadvantage in hiring decisions that involve race. Well, that's affirmative action. I have a problem with affirmative action. I really do. I don't think that you should be filling slots based on color. You should be filling slots based on need and skill level. So yeah, affirmative action is a problem for me. Now, I don't think it was a problem 20 years ago, but I do think it's a problem now, or at least it's something that we need to discuss and maybe tweak a little bit. Let's see here. Chuck Williams would like to point out that the only black people in Minnesota are Prince and Kirby Puckett, which, maybe so. Let's see. Jill says it's dumb to treat people differently based on their race. Christina, I'm sorry, please. It's so hard to incorporate Facebook because people just start to drift. They start talking about other things. Now there's a bunch of comments about how funny Chris Rock is, which have nothing to do with it. But All right, so
But he is funny. I mean, they got a point.
He's very funny.
Yeah,
You do have a point, yeah. But let's start another thread, okay, where we'll talk about Chris Rock. All right, let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll get into some more stuff. Again, be looking for that University of Minnesota Duluth PSA. And if you're white, I'd really be interested in hearing how you feel about it. Because I just, as a white person who does not have any white guilt, and I resent the fact that people think I should have white guilt. Don't you? Do you have white guilt? My old producer, Eric, was just overwhelmed. And I even think to some degree that my old partner, Kelly, harbors a little white guilt. I never understood that. I didn't do anything. I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the good ones. I don't have any guilt about that.
Yeah, I guess I don't really get guilt until if I run into a scenario where I can see racism, it will piss me off to a point where I'll start kind of rethinking the whole thing. You know what I mean? So like it will piss me off, but guilt, I don't think that it's not guilt because I haven't done anything wrong. And I realize that time has passed and people have been idiots all the way through history. So we're trying to get over that, and getting over that isn't done by feeling guilty about things all day. You know what I mean? You just try to fix the problem. So, like, if I see something racist, I will call it out.
What is my personal guilt supposed to do to fix whatever is wrong with society in general? It's not going to do anything.
Well, it's a lot like somebody who really screws you over and then gets back to you a few months later and says, hey, by the way, just so you know, I'm feeling really bad about that. I can't do anything to fix it for you. I know that your life sucks now, but I feel bad about it.
Well, that's still better than someone that runs, though, that never addresses the fact that he's.
No, how about the guy fixes the damn problem? So, I mean, you fix it, and we have done that.
Have you ever seen an overwhelming example of racism? Right in front of you where you were like, wow. So that is what all of these bills and legislations is about, that kind of behavior. Mm-hmm. I worked in a pizza restaurant once. And a black kid came in and interviewed for a job as a delivery driver. I was a delivery driver. Mm-hmm. And the manager of the pizza restaurant, who was a foreigner from another country, he interviewed the guy, very, very nice, very happy. It all went very well. And then when the kid left, he was like 20-something years old. When the guy left, the manager turned to the rest of us who were gathered, because, it was before the big rush and all the pizza guys were just hanging out in the hangout room. He walked in and he had the resume, or not the resume, but the application for a job that the black kid just filled out, and he tore it up in front of us and put it in the garbage. Wow. And then said, we won't have any black people stealing our money here. And he walked out, and I was blown away by that. I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what has been going on in this country for years, and I don't think it goes on to that extent anymore. I mean, it's just crazy. If it was a bigger company, I might have been a whistleblower, but it was just a small little pizza place. Yeah. All right.
Mine. I was just gonna say, mine wasn't actually between whites and black people. It was really weird. It was during a time when I was basically hanging out with like nothing but like the really geeky kids. So like we would go across the street, hang out at Albertsons after the school day or whatever. And for some reason, the Asians and black people didn't care for each other.
Oh, no.
And we watched this whole thing go down in front of us, and it was pretty much based on race. But since then, I've decided that, like, in Louisville, they don't have real Asian people, because real Asian people didn't act like that. As far as I found out later on, most of them were really, like, intelligent, did things like, I don't know where these people came from.
Where did these Asians come from?
Yeah.
They weren't in the band, they weren't on the mathletes team.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. No, hey, in my experience down here, because there is such a larger population of this particular minority group, down here, I have found that the most anti-black people that I know are Mexicans.
Oh, yeah.
They hate black people. Mexicans use the N-word like in close company. Just hanging out. Hey, how you doing? Hey, see the nigger standing outside? Whoa! Jesus, whoa! You would think that as another minority, you would have some sort of brotherhood or some sort of affinity towards one another's struggle.
It goes back to that, whatever you are, you're the best.
What team are you on?
And it's the irony doesn't even seem to like place with people, because I mean, like, you have, for instance, like black people, they go through the civil rights movement, they get all these different things. And then, once things are kind of cleared up and things are looking up on the up and up, they're the ones that vote against gay marriage and say that you don't have those rights to do. It's just really like it's always revolving.
Yeah.
Like if you're the one that's persecuted at one point, you'll be the one persecuting the next. So.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back. It is PMS, the Pugs Moran show for what do we call this? It's a Thursday afternoon. We'll be back with more. It's Pugs Moran, PMS. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran show on thebarlive.com every Tuesday through Friday, noon to 2, right here at thebarlive.com. Jimmy Ryan is with me. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
All right, what do you say we get into a little douche tournament here?
Yeah.
All right, got a couple of people. Oh, I know we got another bath salts case.
Oh, really?
We've got a little Alec Baldwin we've got to discuss. We've got a congressman. We're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. But first, and this is not in the douche tournament, okay? This is just something that we're monitoring. Matt Drudge is at it again. Now, I've been saying for months that there is something going on at thedrudgereport.com, that his site virtually every day has multiple stories posted that are just so racially incendiary. I mean, and I don't know. Sometimes I notice these things and I mention them and people say that I'm insane and that I'm just seeing things or that I'm just being a radio guy and I'm trying to stir up some controversy. Mm-hmm. But last Friday night, this little monitoring of the Drudge Report that I've been doing was echoed by someone else, Bill Maher, on the Bill Maher show. He came out on his show and he talked about Matt Drudge and how these headlines in these pictures that he's been posting have really no purpose other than to stir the racial pot. And I have to wonder, what is the motivation here? What are you reaching for, Matt Drudge? What are you hoping is the end result of the conservative right-wing people that read your website? Because that is the demo. Now, other people do check it out because it has become such a big website for news and for posting links and all that stuff. But I mean, what are you getting at? You know who your audience is. Your audience is the 50-year-old white guy who loves Rush Limbaugh, loves Fox News, and reads the Drudge Report on the internet. And you're putting these headlines that I don't understand the purpose of them. I really don't get them. I mean, every headline, there's always a headline that says something like, "Gang of blacks attack elderly white grandma." Stuff like that, just all of that. And after Bill Maher pointed it out on Friday night, Saturday, Drudge put a story up there about Bill Maher calls me out, that whole thing. And there was nothing other than that on Saturday's Drudge Report that was even remotely racially charged. Sunday, same thing, nothing. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. And I even made the point. I said, hey, it looks like Matt Drudge is on his best behavior. Looks like, Bill Maher struck a nerve and he's kind of toning it back for a few days. Wednesday, nothing. So here we are on Thursday, and this is the story that I find on the Drudge Report. Video. Black female randomly attacks white male aboard bus in Philly. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Now, I went to journalism school, okay? So I know about the who, what, when, where, how, and why, right? I mean, those are the main. And I also know what is a legitimate story and what is a story that is word. I mean, there is a whole craft involved in writing headlines. There are people, people who work in newspaper who do the headlines, and that's a good job to get. Right. They're creative, they're smart, and there's a purpose to the headline. It's supposed to catch your attention and make you want to read the whole story.
Every word is meticulously thought out. So the headline on the Drudge Report is black female randomly attacks white male aboard bus in Philly. And there's video there. Now, when you go to the actual story, it just says Philadelphia police searching for suspect in bus assault. So that's the way of maybe middle of the road. That's the way it should be. Philadelphia police are searching for a suspect in the assault. And then in the story, they then give a description of the person. And they describe her as a black female. But Matt Drudge leads with that. Black female attacks white man on bus in Philly. Why wouldn't it be woman goes nuts and attacks man on bus? Yeah, it just doesn't pertain to the story. I mean, it might as well be like, person in Calvin Klein jeans goes after person in Lee jeans.
Exactly. It makes nothing. A tall guy attacks small guy. There's no reason for that. There's no need. So what is Matt Drudge getting? He's trying to stir the pot. Yes, he's trying to get his demo, the people who go to the Drudge Report, stirred up because those people are typically white guys, white conservative guys with a few Herman Cains sprinkled in.
For a little flavor.
I don't even want to read the story. I mean, the story's about a crazy-ass black woman who lost her lid on a bus and started attacking a guy. Now, Matt Drudge is trying, the use of random, too, is interesting. Matt Drudge is trying to suggest that this can happen to you, white America, anywhere. Because the black people, there's a race war coming, and it's starting, and you're the victims, and you're never going to... That is what he is trying to get at.
It's crazy, and it works, I'm sure.
Oh, sure it does. Oh, it absolutely does work. And then there'll be people going, well, if the story didn't happen, then maybe... Look, things like this happen all the time. I guarantee you that somewhere in America, there was another fight on a bus somewhere. It didn't make the Drudge Report. I'm sure somewhere in America, there was some kind of an incident on a subway in New York City yesterday that was far worse than this. It didn't make the Drudge Report.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever been
But this one has video.
Have you ever been on public transportation?
Hell yeah. I lived in Chicago. Yes.
Yeah. In New York, it was, a once-a-month occurrence if you're going home at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to see somebody masturbating on one of the trains. I mean, like, that's the kind of stuff that you can expect when you're taking public transportation. I'm expecting a couple outlashes every once in a while from crazy people that get on the... there was a shooting here in Dallas on the DART station just like a few weeks ago or something like that. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you get.
Yeah.
Drudge apparently takes
people
his
who
own
use
story.
public transportation are either in a tough spot and they need to use it, or they're the lower rung of society.
No, don't say that.
No, it's true.
Bad. Really?
No, it's true. Oh, come on. Have you ever ridden
take
a city bus? Come on.
Not a city bus, but I take the train as much as I can.
Well, now, it depends. There are a lot of people that use trains and public transportation like that. Buses are a different category.
Yeah, because I don't want that stereotype happening. I think that Dallas is already backwards enough where everything's so spread out that if you're walking somewhere in one of the suburbs, they assume you don't have a car. No, I just don't need to drive everywhere.
Or you got a DUI. Every time I see a dude in his 30s riding a bike, I'm like, DUI, huh? All right, well, here's how the story is written, okay, in Philadelphia. Now, this is the actual story. This is not the Drudge headline. The story is written this way. Philadelphia police are searching for a woman who was caught on surveillance camera assaulting a man on a bus last month. The incident happened on May 31st on a Route 23 bus on the 5700 block of Germantown Avenue. Police say a little before 2:30 p.m., a woman described as... See, this is where the description of the assailant comes into play. It is perfectly fine if the woman is on the loose and you're still looking for her. It is perfectly fine to describe her. She is a black woman. Police say a little before 2:30 p.m., a woman described as a black female, 5'5" with a stocky build, boarded the bus, and right after sitting down, she suddenly got up, approached a man, not a white man, a man, sitting, and began assaulting him. That's the way an actual journalist wrote the story. The fact that the victim was white didn't have any relevance to the story whatsoever. But in Matt Drudge's world, it has such relevance to the story that it screams to be the headline. Black woman randomly attacks white man on bus. Come on, there's an agenda there.
It's obvious. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't come out and just admit it. I mean,
Well, you can't admit it.
Oh.
You can't. But I mean,
really rally the forces if you think they're there.
Well, I think, unfortunately, I think that's what he's trying to do. All right, let's get into a little douche tournament. I didn't want to include Matt Drudge in the douche tournament because he is just such a douche. As a matter of fact, the douche tournament trophy should be called the Matt Drudge Award or the Matt Drudge Cup.
It's a state of being.
The Drudge Cup. All right, first person that we're going to put under the douche microscope is Alec Baldwin. Have you seen now? Alec Baldwin he does a lot of douchey things, according to some people.
Does he?
How do you? Well, a lot of people like to criticize him because he's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy, very well-read guy. Keeps talking about going into politics. I'd love to see him go into politics. Keeps flirting with the idea that he's going to run for mayor of New York City. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be great. And even on 30 Rock, the character of Jack Donaghy does the same thing. Flirts with the idea of running for mayor of New York City, sort of paralleling the actual man, Alec Baldwin, who has done the same.
Doesn't he have a brother that's constantly piping in with politics?
Alec Baldwin?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a couple ne'er-do-well brothers, yeah. He's got Billy Baldwin, but Billy Baldwin's like a Christian Bible thumper, dude. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much political that Billy Baldwin gets involved in Stephen Baldwin.
That's who I'm looking for, yeah.
Yeah, the blonde one, the weird one.
Yeah.
The one that's
he's a treat.
All right, so Alec Baldwin went to the courthouse in New York City this week, and he was getting a marriage license. He's getting married to his hot, young, workout model girlfriend. He's good for him. He's Alec Baldwin. What do you expect him to be?
Yeah, you showed me that daughter of his. He's probably had a streak.
Oh, my God. There is a picture of him walking down the street here that I'm looking at of Alec Baldwin and his daughter, Ireland. Now, you have to remember, folks, this is the offspring of Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. Wow. Jimmy, how would you describe her?
It's 12.
Supermodel.
Yeah.
She looks like a supermodel. Oh, she is so pretty. And she looks like her mom. She looks like an 18-year-old Kim Basinger.
She's ridiculously hot.
She's very, very hot. So when Alec Baldwin was walking out of the courthouse, there was a photographer in New York that's stalking him. The photographer goes everywhere. Alec Baldwin goes, to get the pictures and all that stuff. And apparently they got into a little bit of a scuffle. Then later on in the day, Alec Baldwin took to the streets because he knew that the photographers were now all going to be on his case because he had this little run-in earlier with the photographer. So he took to the streets of New York wearing a bed sheet and just walked around his block in New York City wearing a bed sheet so that no one could photograph him. It was Alec Baldwin being silly. It was Alec Baldwin being funny. Then yesterday, and then he goes on David Letterman, and David Letterman says, so what's with you attacking photographers? And Baldwin basically said, it's hysterical. I think it's funny. I think it's great. I think when they get in my way, they better get out of my way or that's going to happen. That's kind of the FU attitude that he has about it, which I've never been a big celebrity. I don't know how intrusive these things are. I can imagine it's probably a pain in the ass.
I'd go insane.
Yeah.
Insane. That's why I will never jump on board any of these freaking, down a celebrity bandwagons because, when Britney Spears, for instance, was like going around shaving her head and attacking people with umbrellas, I would be doing the exact same thing. I totally understand what she was doing.
Can't handle it?
No,
Stop
screw
watching
that.
me.
Oh, yeah, stop following me. Just do not do it. And if you do, I'm going to make you work for your money. I'm going to make you really work for your money.
It says here, Alec Baldwin steps out with his daughter Ireland days after assaulting Daily News lensman, says punching photographers is funny. All right, good for you.
Yeah.
The 30 Rock actor says he considered assaulting a photographer funny after joking that the attack during a Wednesday night appearance, or after joking about the attack during a Wednesday night appearance on the David Letterman show. Goes on to say here, where is it? Petulant Alec Baldwin says punching photographers is his idea of comedy. All right, now let's frame this appropriately. Should we be calling him a douche for saying that? He was on a comedy show. He's essentially a comedic actor. He was on with David Letterman having fun. Let's not hold him to saying that punching photographers is funny because he did
Why not? It really is.
During panel on a comedy show.
Have you seen these douchebags and the way that I've only seen a few of them because I don't really watch these things, but I've seen these TMZ reporters or whatever walking around with their cameras and they're getting right in their faces, asking the same question over and over and over again until they can get an answer. It's just
not only that, but they
insane.
ask questions with the idea of getting some kind of response. Your mother's a whore. Your mother's a whore. And then they, stuff like that, and they try and get a response out of them because they'll get a picture of somebody angry, and that'll sell.
Yeah. It's just
because we're all idiots.
These are the worst of the worst people. So yeah, I think it's hilarious if one of these guys gets knocked right in the face. That's what you're getting paid for.
Yeah.
If I get into the UFC, I know that I'm taking an ass kicking because I'm going to get paid well for it. You should have to get an ass kicking every once in a while. If you're a photographer, if you're a douchebag photographer who chases people around saying shit that pisses them off.
Yeah. The 53-year-old sitcom star, speaking outside his East Village apartment, laughed Thursday when asked by the Daily News if he would consider anger management therapy. Asked if he considered assaulting a photographer a joke, Baldwin shot back, yes. Yes, I do. The irascible actor lobbed a few additional insults at news reporters before heading out to breakfast with his stunning, holy cow, I said 18. She's 16. All right, let's dial it back, Pugs. Ireland Baldwin is only 16 years old. Does that girl look 16?
No, but most don't. Not that look that cute.
Yeah, I mean, she looks like she's in her early 20s and has been walking the runways in Paris for...
It's all right. You feel like you're backtracking.
I do. I feel
it's okay.
I feel guilty. I've been lusting after this Ireland Baldwin, and it turns out that she's 16. I'm uncomfortable with that.
She's not
premenstrual. Yes, in my defense, she doesn't look like a little kid. She looks like Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
Ireland, who Baldwin infamously called a rude, thoughtless little pig in a 2007 leaked voicemail message, appeared to have channeled the stunning looks and calm demeanor of her mother. Yes. Yes, she sure had. Yes. She appears to have channeled the stunning looks and calm demeanor of her mother, Oscar-winning actress Kim Basinger, during the stroll. Baldwin, whose marriage to Basinger ended in a bitter divorce. All right, so at any rate, Alec Baldwin going on TV and saying that punching photographers is funny to him is what we got him here for the douche of the day. All right, so...
I honestly didn't know if I liked Alec Baldwin before this because I really haven't run into too many things that he's done, but I think that was great. I really like him.
You don't watch 30 Rock?
No. I've seen like a couple bits and pieces, but that's basically it.
He is so brilliant on 30 Rock. He is so brilliant. The character of Jack Donaghy, because it plays against hype. He is known to be this wildly passionate, progressive political thinker. And on 30 Rock, he plays this corporate horror show. This guy that is just everything that he, personally, Alec Baldwin, hates. And he plays him for laughs. And it's just such a great character of Jack Donaghy. He's head of late night programming and microwave technology at GE. That in itself is a joke about how insane GE is that they've also got microwaves and late night programming.
I like there's this one thing that BBC does called the Mitchell and Webb look, where there's a guy who's really excited about getting his internship at the BBC, and he's walking around, and the general manager's showing him around. Here's where we do the news. Here's where we do some of the programming. And if you'll put on this hard hat, here's where we dig for coal. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that there was a coal mine. Yeah, there's a coal mine. We've been selling coal all along.
Oh, really?
And all of a sudden, he's like, here, take this bird.
Wow, you guys really are a conglomerate.
Take this bird. If it dies, you've got about 3 minutes.
That's funny. All right, here's number 2. Retiring Congressman Gary Ackerman from New York reflects on his time in Congress. Congressman Ackerman, you've been here 30 years. Can you define comedy or comedy?
Comedy.
Not comedy. C-O-M-I-T-Y. I am unfamiliar with that word, or at least its usage here. Well, I feel like an illiterate kid.
I thought we were doing the English little accent again.
Do you know what that means? If someone said, Congressman Ackerman, you've been here 30 years, can you define comedy, C-O-M-I-T-Y, as it existed when you arrived versus how it exists now? Context clues tell me what it means, but I didn't know that word.
No.
Ackerman responds, your premise is that comedy exists now. It may not be entirely accurate. It used to be you had real friends on the other side of the aisle. It's not like that anymore. Society has changed. The public is to blame as well. I think the people have gotten dumber. I don't know what I would have said. I don't know that I would have said that out loud pre my announcement that I was going to be leaving Congress, but I think it's true. I mean, everything has changed. The media has changed. We now give broadcast licenses to philosophies instead of people. People get confused and think there is no difference between news and entertainment. People who project themselves as journalists on television don't know the first thing about journalism. They are just there stirring up a hockey game. All right, now this guy's taking a lot of heat for coming out and saying this. Congressman Ackerman of New York, outgoing congressman. I couldn't agree with him more.
Yeah.
I could not agree with him more. And again, I will say I've been saying this for years. The average person is incredibly uneducated and stupid and uninvolved in the world around them.
Except for the ones that watch this show.
Well, and that's what I always say. No, I always say if you listen to talk radio, if you're interested in some discussion of the issues, you don't fall into that category. You do not. I mean, but that is true.
There's a guy that's watching this right now snorting pixie sticks saying, yeah,
I
know.
Right. Working up his bath salts for later today. You tell him, Pugs. You tell him.
I'm brilliant. Brilliant, I tell you.
What do you think of that? Are people stupid? I mean,
I think it's become too easy to be stupid. I mean, like,
I don't know that they're stupid as much as we're lazy.
I think
comfortable.
I think that. Well, no, it's not stupid either. It's misdirected understandings of what's going to be important to you. I get so much flack for not watching TV. I can't keep a conversation going at a bar because 90% of it's talking about TV. I've been called stupid many, many, many times because I don't know what happened.
You are far from stupid.
But I've been called stupid many, many, many times because I don't know what happened on 2.5 Men last night, you know? So I mean, I understand that there's irony in that, but that is the current state of things, you know, for us right now, where if you don't watch TV, you can be accidentally believed to be stupid. But, you know, I think that the same thing goes the other way around. I think that I've run into people that I thought were probably stupid, but probably could school me on some other things that I didn't know about. But, yeah, when it comes to politics and how our governments run, no one gives a shit.
No one doesn't. Well, what they do is because it's easy to just fall in line behind their team and let their team work it out.
Yeah, because then
you
you
decide
can just,
if you're red or you're blue, and
Yeah.
then you don't have to think about anything. You'll just actually, I would say that I think the people who are blue actually do think about it more than the people who are red, because the people who are red traditionally vote against their best interests. The working class conservatives in America have consistently voted against their best interests, and the problem on the other side with the people who are blue is that they tend to be pussies. They tend to be complete spineless pussies who are afraid to stand up for what they believe in.
They both got their faults, but I would say that those are, generically the ones that fall into place more often than not.
Yeah.
So it happened so many times, especially when I was dating the first girl that I was in a long-term relationship with. All along, I knew that it wasn't going to work because our families were just so polarly opposite. My family's mainly from the Northeast. Her family was, boy, South.
Yeah.
I mean, like crazy South. And they always kind of judged me for little things that I would say. But it was right when Kerry and Bush were basically going in for the election. And they were hardcore Bush. But, of course, they were not doing too well. So they were on food stamps. And they were talking about how everyone's looking for
a handout, but they're on food stamps.
Exactly.
That's what I mean about voting against your best interest.
Yeah, the dad, unemployed, but he was getting unemployment.
Getting compensation.
Yeah.
But he's tired of these sons of bitches taking money and...
Because they're just sitting around collecting paychecks. And
I don't get it.
And I was getting a mouthful from this guy as I have a freaking job.
Right.
Like,
you're
what?
working.
Yeah.
He's not. He's collecting money from the government.
And you're judging me.
And he's talking about how, tired of giving away all this money to people who don't deserve it. But somehow he deserves it.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Again, it's that classic sign that we saw at the Tea Party, keep the government out of my Medicaid.
It is very interesting.
When that person was making that sign, keep the government out of my Medicaid, when that person was making that sign, there were other people around that looked at the sign. He told other people what he was going to put on that sign, keep the government out of my Medicaid. Hey, I'm going down to the Tea Party rally, and look at the sign I made. Keep the damn government ain't taking my Medicaid. Nobody told him that Medicaid was a government program.
It's unbelievable.
And that if it wasn't for the government, there would be no such thing as Medicaid?
Many times when Occupy was going on, there, people would be making signs, and I can't even count how many times somebody would be making a sign that pretty much didn't make sense, and they'd have to go over there and be like, dude, don't do it. But no one did tell that person. No one said, you're going to make us look like idiots.
Right. Nobody did. He was proudly holding it up.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that's the problem. People who are now called to action, and they're getting involved, and they just don't know what they're getting involved in. They don't know what they're upset about. All they know is that their team needs support, so they're going to be out there showing support for their team.
And the same thing does go
We are all a team. It's the United States of America. Actually, it's the planet Earth, but let's make it simpler for us. It's the United States of America, and our team is losing right now.
Yeah. The same thing does go for anybody who is a conservative person who, I guess gets offended because I say that the people in Occupy were doing that. No, I would say that it's the same ratio of people that had no idea what was going on.
Look,
there was a small sect of people that did, and they were trying to lead everything.
We've been very tough on the idiots, the segment of idiots that showed up to Occupy as well, who didn't have the first clue about what was going on. They were just down there to meet chicks. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
We're lots of hot chicks.
The stone guy in the dreadlocks, with the multicolored African knit cap, that doesn't know what the hell's going on. Mm. He's just subscribing to a philosophy of a team that he wants to be on.
Yeah, I mean, he basically would just chime in with, yeah, man, things need to be better, man. Yeah, and he'd be like, no, he seems like a nice guy.
How so? I always like to ask people if they can name 3 members of the Supreme Court. You would be surprised at how many people cannot name 3 members of the United States Supreme Court, the most important body in all of the land. When push comes to shove and everything goes to crap and we don't know who the president is because there's a coup that's been held and all hell is... It will be the Supreme Court who is still there, who we're going to have to rely on. People don't even know who... All right. At any rate, let's move on. That kills me. It's always my thing. Can you name 3 members of the Supreme? Not you. I'm just asking. In general, they're always like, well, there's that woman. There's a couple women. There have been a couple women. Oh, there's been three women. Bader Ginsburg, Sotomayor, and the first one. O'Connor. Sandra Day O'Connor. All right, at any rate. All right, here's the last one. Oh, by the way, though, we are talking about the Supreme Court. Have you ever looked at the makeup, the religious makeup of the Supreme Court?
No.
They're like it's crazy. It's like they are all Catholics. And like, there's like 5 Catholics, 9, so 5 Catholics, 1 Jew. And it's crazy. It's like people who have a problem with Catholicism ought to look at the Supreme Court, and be like, hey, there's an awful lot of Catholics on the Supreme Court.
Definitely doesn't represent on a ratio that looks more like the normal population.
No, I think it's like Kennedy, Sotomayor, Scalia. Anyway, there's I can't name them all right now. At any rate, there's a whole bunch of Catholics, except Ginsburg. I'm pretty sure that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not Catholic.
Well, that keeps it exciting.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure that Ginsburg is. Wait, is she even still there? I don't know. Now look who's put their foot in their mouth. All right. At any rate, we got to run out of time here. Douche tournament. Let's just give it to Matt Drudge, right? Let's just give it to Matt Drudge.
Yeah.
I like Alec Baldwin, and I kind of agree with this outgoing congressman who says that people are all dumb,
Yeah,
and that's
I
why
agree
he's
with
getting
two
out
of
of
them.
politics.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. There's also a zombie attack. I'll leave you with this quickly. Latest zombie eating attack in Florida. Of course, it's Florida. And by the way, Miami has the city council has outlawed bath salts in Miami.
Oh, getting on top of that.
It is the epicenter for face eating and bath salt partying.
Man, and the craziest part about this story is that it really is worldwide. I was watching this thing that was on YouTube, and it was something that was being broadcast, and of all places, Iran. And they had the bath salt guy story in Iran.
Sure.
So, I mean, like, just unbelievable.
Palmetto, Florida, the latest in a string of zombie-like attacks happened in Manatee County home Wednesday night after a man under the influence went into a fit of rage and bit a piece of someone's arm off during a visit with his children. Much like the Miami face-hitting attack, 26-year-old Charles Baker got naked, ate human flesh, and wouldn't go down without a fight, according to Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Authorities say Baker went to his girlfriend's home on 25th Street in Palmetto to visit his kids at 10:15 p.m. I don't know how old the kids are, but it's a little late to be showing up to visit the kids.
Yeah.
10:15. They're kids. They're probably in bed. They say he was high on an unknown substance when he knocked on the door, then barged in, began yelling, and taking off his clothes. He was screaming and wouldn't calm down, then began throwing furniture around the home. Jeffrey Blake, who lives in the home, attempted to restrain Baker, but the suspect bit him, taking a chunk of flesh from his bicep. Yeesh. Blake, 48, was able to get Baker to the ground and kept him there until 2 deputies arrived. When law enforcement came inside, Blake released Baker. Baker got up but would not respond to deputies' orders. The suspect instead faced the deputies, tensing his body, clenching his fists, and screaming. Baker, still naked, acted like he was going to rush the deputies. Deputy Wilt deployed his electronic control device, I guess that's a fancy name for a taser, after giving a verbal warning. Baker fell to the ground and then tried to get back up. So Deputy Wilt deployed the device again. Baker pulled the probes out. Boy, that's always crazy. You know, when you see the guys that get shot with the tasers, they just pull them out. You know, it's like,
insane.
Whoa, what are you going to do with that? You're going to pull it out? Holy crap. Holy cow, Rodney King. Baker fell to the ground and then tried to get back up, so Deputy Wilt deployed the device again. Baker pulled the probes out, so Deputy Blake deployed his electric shock device. Those probes were also pulled out, and Deputy Wilt then deployed a second cartridge. By this time, several other deputies had arrived on the scene and were able to hold him down and handcuff him. Baker was taken to Memorial Hospital. All right, there you go. So another Florida. Sounds like bath salts, although they're not calling it bath salts. Surprised. Usually they would take that leap. Another guy, and more eating. Although, you know, we're stretching it kind of thin here, right? They're trying to draw a common thread between all these cannibal attacks. The dude just bit a guy's arm.
Yeah.
Cannibalism is you bite, you chew, you eat, you swallow, you go, oh, that was good, you have another bite. This guy was just biting.
Yeah.
You know, when a dog bites you, he's not trying to eat you. You know, it's not a cannibal. You know,
I've decided that we're far too excited about this zombie apocalypse.
It's a diversion.
We kind of want it. I mean, apparently, because like every news source, and I think us included, I've seen a lot of different shows as they prepare.
They're fun stories.
Yeah, they're like, okay, well, what's going to be the next zombie story? So if anybody does anything even remotely zombie-like, it is now the zombie story.
Remotely zombie-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's going to get to the point where if you do anything that even relates to zombies, you are now subject to a couple shots to the head. Like, that's going to be the norm. Because no one's ever gonna mind that.
Oh, did you see that guy that did the YouTube prank in Miami like a week or so after?
Yeah.
And he basically had a buddy film him, and he made himself look like a zombie, and then he just started accosting people on the streets. Now,
Balls of steel, this guy.
Yeah, but absolutely nothing in his head.
Oh no,
Absolutely. I mean, this guy, this is the dumbest
He's not winning
thing.
a Nobel Prize or anything.
I was rooting. I mean, he's in this what looks to be an inner city neighborhood, and there are a bunch of young, athletic black men playing basketball, and this white guy runs on the court and starts going like chasing them. He is lucky he didn't get the absolute crap beat out of him.
I know.
Or
I was blown
he's
away.
lucky he didn't get shot. He's lucky a cop who is just coming off the Miami story from like a week earlier didn't cruise by, see this guy, and put a couple of loads into him.
Did you see that point where they actually slowed it down and you can see one of the guys that was playing basketball pull out a gun?
Really?
Yeah. It's done really slowly. You have to go back in there and like actually watch it. But at one
Let's
point,
look at that after the show.
Yeah.
Show it to me.
It just like starts glimmering. You can see he was like seconds away from pulling that trigger on him.
Do you think any of that was faked?
Could have been, but it
Because
didn't,
at the end,
feel it.
because the way it ends, they're chasing him. Mm-hmm. If they really beat the crap out of him, wouldn't the person videotaping show him getting the crap beat out of him, if for nothing else, evidence,
Yeah.
to identify the assailants? Although, what would compel someone to do something like that?
The internet.
That's just dumb.
Yeah, but you know what? We both watched it.
Yeah,
He
we
got
did.
what he
We watched
wanted.
it because he was dumb. Yeah, all right.
I mean, he's either dumb or like I said, you can be incredibly dumb in one thing, but brilliant in another. And like, if I ever need to find out how I can market a YouTube video, I'm going to that guy. Because like he got it out there, everybody was watching it. Like
Yeah.
two completely different people, and we both watched it. I ended up running into another person who actually saw the same video.
See, I'm actually hoping.
So-
I'm actually hoping that the guy that does something like that gets killed doing it. No, I am. I'm hoping that person got. I wished that the kid playing basketball who pulled his gun out. I wish that kid had shot him dead right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a joke.
It's a stupid joke, and people are. We're coming off of something just a week earlier where
But
some
we're
dude got
not
his face
really
eaten.
coming off of anything.
Yes, we are.
No, we didn't know.
You cannot come up to me on the street like you're a zombie, like you're gonna eat me, and not expect something bad to happen.
Yeah, I guess like if the guy got his ass kicked, I would say that it's totally
Deserved.
acceptable. Yeah, it's deserved. But I'm not if he got shot, I would be like, man, that was the end of a good joke. That was funny.
Bit of a non-proportionate or it's a little overly.
I mean, I would like to see the guy come out with a
Excessive.
black eye. You're an
Yeah.
asshole. You're doing it. It was funny, but you're an asshole. You deserve a black eye. But yeah, if what I thought was hilarious at the time ended with boom, and then just cold silence.
I don't get the whole zombie thing. I love zombie movies. I love the zombie genre, but I don't understand why it's taken on this. Is it the answer to the vampire trend that we had? Is that what this is?
I think it goes like almost coincides with it, because I'm only like really big into zombies and like video games for some reason, because then you get to kind of play with it.
Well, they're
But-
fun to kill in video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting into a long
As
conversation.
opposed to in real life.
well, we'll have to talk to that cop,
Yeah.
see how he felt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's always fun. You don't ever hope for one or the other. You aren't hoping for the vampires to come back.
No.
No, you're
No,
not.
man.
You're not into those.
No, man, I'm more about aliens. I want the aliens.
Mm.
I don't want the vampires. I don't believe in
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah, aliens though.
Although I love True Blood. I like True Blood.
Yeah, is that good?
Oh, it's excellent.
Should I be watching that?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It might be too late because the story is so developed and it's been on for so many years. There's so much that you need to know. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, maybe
Well, I
that's
always
not
go to
true.
the beginning.
Maybe that's not true. All right, then from the beginning. Yeah, I would definitely start watching True Blood from the beginning. It's
Yeah.
cool. Do you know what the premise of the show is?
No.
It's almost like it parallels in the beginning anyway. It paralleled gays coming out of the closet. Basically, it's a world exactly like the world we live in now, except that vampires are real and they walk among us and they're being assimilated into society. And the reason for this is because a Japanese company has created something called True Blood, which is like a Red Bull. And you can, and it's synthetic blood that you buy at the convenience store and you drink it and all. And because of this, vampires no longer have to kill people. Vampires can now come out and be normal and try and be accepted into society.
Wow.
And they can drink their True Blood. And although all the vampires hate it. You know, they taste like crap. You know, it's like if you drank Coca-Cola your whole life and then suddenly you got to drink Tab. You know, you'd be like, it's not the same thing. So, but it sort of paralleled coming out. Like vampires are sort of marginalized in society as you know, that whole thing. But no, it's good, man. I love it. Oh, and the other thing, the big drug, the crack or the bath salts or whatever that is sweeping the world is called V, and it's pure vampire blood. And like non-vampires will like take a little of this V, and they have like the greatest high of their life. So everybody's trying to get vampire blood from the vampires, and the vampires aren't eating people anymore. Yet people are coming after their blood for the drug. It's crazy. It's great. No, it's great. I really like it. I like it a lot. And I didn't like it. I didn't want to like it, but I started watching it because my wife at the time was really into it, and she got me all hooked on it. And now I'm totally into True Blood, and it's back now. It was the second episode, I think, of the season on Sunday night.
Nice.
But you know what else? Here's the other thing about True Blood. It ain't just vampires now. Like everybody's coming out of the woodwork. We got werewolves. We got shapeshifters. We got the lead character, Suki, who is played by, I don't know who the blonde girl is. Can't think of her name. I like her, though. I like her a lot. She's good. Suki, the main character, who actually falls in love with a vampire, and that's sort of the thing. Oh, forbidden love. You know, that whole thing. Turns out she's a pixie. She's a fairy.
No.
Yeah. We knew there was something special about her because she could always read people's minds. Like that was her curse she felt in life, that like she always knew when people were talking about her. It turns out because she's a pixie. And all the vampires are drawn to her. You know why? Because pixie blood is awesome. So they all love her and they all want to be around her and they all want to seduce her. And yeah, True Blood. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
I think it's very good.
I'll at least give it a shot.
I wouldn't run you down a bad path.
You haven't yet.
I wouldn't suggest anything there. By the way, how far are you in Battlestar? Have you fallen off that, or are you still?
I've fallen off.
Oh, you got to get back in.
Yeah.
Dude,
I will
the
at
best
some
stuff
point.
is coming. The best stuff is coming.
It's just so aggravating that they don't talk about more of the way that they're getting along in space. You know, I've talked to you about this.
They're not really getting along. It's all tense. It's
Well,
like
no,
everybody's at each other's throats.
But nobody's hungry, you know, and they haven't talked about how they're getting the
they'll
food up
develop
there.
that. Yeah, they have agriculture ships, and they make reference to all of that stuff. Yeah,
So,
no. It's,
I just need to give it a little bit more time.
there aren't as many holes as you think. If you watch the whole thing as a finished product, there's not as many holes as you think.
Okay.
All right, I guess the only thing on the watch list tonight is, what is probably going to be the last game of the NBA season, the Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Everybody thinks that the Oklahoma City Thunder will fall tonight and LeBron will get his trophy. Yeah, congratulations.
I hope not.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
Well, in the history of the NBA Finals, 30 times a team has been down 3-1. All 30 times the team that was in the lead 3-1 wins the NBA championship. So there's really, history is not on the side of the Oklahoma City Thunder coming back. But yeah, everybody in the country is rooting for the Oklahoma City Thunder except for the people in the Miami-Dade metro area.
Yeah.
Those are the only people that are rooting for the Miami Heat. Everybody else is just, come on, Thunder. Because you got to love the Thunder. You know why? Here, I'm going to tell you why. Because Miami, they went and they created a dream team. And Oklahoma City is the smallest market in the NBA. They are the have-nots. Oklahoma City are the guys that shouldn't even be anywhere near this. They shouldn't have this level of talent. But they went and they did it. They went and they did it their own way. And now you've got the haves versus the have-nots. And guess what? The haves are kicking the have-nots' ass.
Sad.
Yeah, it sucks. All right, that's going to do it. That's today's show. Check out the podcast a little bit later today. You can find it at thebarlive.com. Also, check out the Bar Live Facebook page. That is the Bar Live. Jimmy, you got anything you want to promote?
Not really to promote. I guess if we're going to end on like a high note, I mentioned I just came across this.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody's like bragging about like working out all the time, and it's really hard for me to even talk myself into working out. This guy has been working out, doing a lot of like barbells, stuff like that. But now his calluses are ruining his masturbation experience.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he doesn't.
See?
He's gonna have to give one or the other up. So,
That reminds me. All right, now we're just small talking. This may as well be like behind the scenes stuff. But do you watch Family Guy?
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Quagmire is like a total perv.
Yeah.
Did you see the episode? I never know if it's a new Family Guy or if it's one that I watched on TBS from a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an episode that I saw recently where they were talking. They're sitting at the bar, the Drunken Clam, where they go to drink. It was Joe, Cleveland. I guess it was an old one because it was Joe, Cleveland, Peter Griffin, and Quagmire. And somebody mentioned something about internet porn. Do you know this one?
What?
Quagmire, whose character is the biggest pervert on the planet. I mean, a total sex offender. Had no idea that there was porn on the internet. He was like, "Let's get what? Well, yeah, I'm not that techie. I don't really, I don't really do anything on the computer. What? Oh yeah, Quagmire. There's thousands and thousands of pictures of these girls, and they'll just do anything. Wait, where do I find this? Oh, anywhere on the internet. Just search for it. You'll find it anywhere. So then they cut, and it's like days later. And they're like in the front of the Griffin's home, and Quagmire lives next door. And Quagmire comes out onto his front stoop. Newspapers are all piled up like he hasn't been outside in days. He's got a beard. He's wearing a bathrobe. He's completely disoriented.
His arm's all jacked up.
Well, that's the thing. And then he turns, and his right arm is like massive. It's like a giant bicep, and his other arm is like all thin. It's like I'm gonna head back inside. And then he turns and just walks back inside. I love Quagmire.
I do too.
Do you know who Quagmire's based on?
Who's that?
Bob Hope.
Really?
Yeah. Seth MacFarlane said that he was trying to come up with voices for all these characters, and he went into his repertoire of voices that he does, and he did his Bob Hope impression. He goes, okay, that's it. That's Quagmire.
Nice.
And Quagmire even has Bob Hope's nose. If you look at it, they drew him to be like a young Bob Hope.
That's funny.
And Bob Hope was known to be a bit of a perv. Like he would always bring hot young chicks up on his USO stay, and he'd like make really awkward comments to him and all that. So that's where the Quagmire character comes from. It's Bob Hope.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna do it. Again, watch list. The only thing on is the NBA Finals. At least that's all I can recommend for you. Unless you like MMA, Spike TV has a really great MMA show that's on at 9 o'clock every night, or every Thursday night, I should say. And that's gonna do it, right?
Yep.
All right, for Jimmy, Ryan, I am Pugs, and we will be back tomorrow. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on thebarlive.com.